The text came while a nurse was taping a clear tube to my chest. "Your brother's vacation deposit is due today." That was all Mom wrote at first. No question mark, no hello, no, "How are you feeling?" Just a reminder, like I had left towels in the washing machine. I read it twice while cold medication slid into my vein, and the man across from me argued cheerfully with his wife about whether a tomato counted as a fruit when it was in salsa. Then 3 dots appeared. $4,200. Needs to be transferred by 5 or they lose the reservation. My mother knew where I was. She knew because she had promised to be in the chair beside me, the one currently occupied by my purse, a folded blanket, and a paper cup full of ice chips. She had canceled at 7:12 that morning because Evan had lost his passport and was spiraling. I stared at the message until the screen dimmed. For the first time in my life, I wondered what would happen if I let my family's emergency remain an emergency. "You okay?" Tessa asked. She'd been standing at the snack cart with the concentration of a person defusing a bomb. She returned carrying peanut butter crackers, pretzels, ginger ale, and a packet of cookies shaped like little windmills. "I didn't know what would taste bad today," she said, arranging everything on the rolling tray. "So I brought the full beige spectrum." I turned my phone face down. Perfect. Tessa looked at me, then at the phone. But she didn't ask. That was one of the reasons she was sitting beside me instead of my mother. Tessa understood that sometimes the kindest question was none. The infusion room tried hard not to look like a place where people received poison on purpose. There were watercolor prints on the walls, recliners in shades of blue and green, and a volunteer pushing a cart stocked with warm blankets. Somebody had put a fake orchid on the windowsill. Its petals were dusty enough to prove it had survived more treatment cycles than any of us. My nurse Rochelle checked the tape on my port. Any burning? No. Metallic taste? Not yet. Nausea? Only existential. She smiled. That one isn't billable. Rochelle had pink glasses and the calmest hands I had ever seen. She was also the only person who could say the word adriamycin without making it sound like either a villain or a cruise ship. Tessa pulled her chair closer. "Your mom still hunting the missing passport?" It was in his desk. Of course it was. Under a stack of takeout menus. International intrigue. I laughed, which made the tubing tug slightly beneath the tape. Mom had called before dawn, speaking in the urgent whisper she used for problems that were not hers. "Claire, I know today is important, but your brother is beside himself. He's 34. That doesn't mean he can't panic, I'm aware. I've seen him assemble furniture." She hadn't laughed. Evan and Marissa were supposed to fly to Hawaii in September for their anniversary. They had talked about the trip since Christmas, mostly in the form of pictures Evan sent to our family group chat. A hotel pool suspended over the ocean, cocktails served inside pineapples, a hiking trail that looked designed to kill anyone receiving chemotherapy. At Easter dinner, he had shown me a picture of their ocean view room while I was trying to determine whether mashed potatoes tasted normal or like wallpaper paste. "You've got to come with us sometime," he'd said. Sometime was a country where my family kept a lot of promises. My phone buzzed again. "Did you see this?" Then, "Claire?" I picked up a pretzel and put it in my mouth. Salt registered. That felt like a small victory. Tessa nodded at the phone. "Work?" "No." "Mom, everything okay?" I handed it to her. She read the messages without changing expression, but her nostrils flared. Tessa's nostrils had stronger boundaries than I did. "Interesting," she said. "That's your polite voice. It's my trying not to get removed by security voice. She probably wants me to lend it to him." "Did he ask you?" "No." "Did she ask you?" I took the phone back and reread the word needs. Apparently, punctuation is the ask. Tessa leaned into her chair. She was 42, divorced, and capable of making silence feel like a well-lit room. We had met 12 years earlier at a medical billing company where she had been fired for telling our supervisor that a motivational webinar did not count as a Christmas bonus. I had quit 3 months later. She still called that the longest notice period in history. "Are you going to do it?" she asked. The answer should have been easy. I had $47,000 in savings, not because I was wealthy, but because I had spent 15 years being afraid of needing anything. I worked as an operations manager for a regional food distributor. My apartment was paid off. My car was 7 years old. I compared prices on laundry detergent and owned exactly one pair of shoes that could not survive rain. $4,200 would not ruin me. That was the trap. Nothing my family asked for was ever enough to ruin me by itself. 3 years earlier, Dad's insurance had refused to cover part of his gallbladder surgery because of a coding error. I paid the hospital bill while I fought the appeal. When the insurance company finally corrected it, the refund went to my parents, and Mom used it to replace their sagging sectional. "You said we didn't have to pay you back until we were stable," she reminded me. They were stable enough for a sectional with heated cup holders. When Evan changed jobs and had a 6-week gap in income, I covered his mortgage. When Mom's credit card balance got a little away from her, I moved it to a zero-interest card in my name and spent 18 months paying it down with her. Except her payments became irregular after month 4 and philosophical after month 8. Family isn't a ledger, Claire. Mom said that most often when the ledger was in her favor. Still, she had done good things too. She had sat on the bathroom floor with me the night I came home after my biopsy, my head between my knees because the doctor had used the phrase, highly suspicious. She had rubbed circles between my shoulder blades and told me I was still me. She had bought me 3 soft button-down shirts after surgery because I couldn't lift my arms. She had washed my hair over the kitchen sink and cried only when she thought my eyes were closed. My mother could be tender. She just seemed to experience my tenderness as a renewable resource. Rochelle returned wearing gloves and carrying a syringe filled with medication the color of fruit punch. "Here comes the red devil," she said. "Still feeling good?" Define good, not actively climbing out the window. I glanced at the sealed window. They plan for everything here. She connected the syringe to my line. The phone began vibrating against my blanket. Mom filled the screen. I let it ring. Tessa watched me but didn't move. The call stopped. 3 seconds later, it started again. "You can answer," Tessa said, "or not." I know. That was the strange thing. I knew. My body had been cut open, scanned, injected, and discussed in rooms full of people wearing lanyards. For months, every decision had arrived with percentages and side effects. Yet the idea that I could simply not answer my mother felt like a medical breakthrough no one had warned me about. I pressed decline. Tessa slowly opened the windmill cookies. I'm not saying that deserved a parade, but I do have festive biscuits. My chest tightened with a laugh, and for a few seconds, I felt almost normal. Then Dad called. "Oh, come on," Tessa muttered. Dad rarely called before dinner. He preferred texts containing weather observations, photographs of things he had repaired, and links to articles he had not read. If he was calling now, Mom had already recruited him. I declined that one too. The medication moved through the tube. Rochelle pushed it slowly, watching me with professional attention. Outside the windows, the parking lot shimmered beneath a bright May sun. A woman in a yellow dress crossed between rows of cars carrying an oversized bouquet, and I found myself wondering whether the flowers were for someone beginning treatment or finishing it. My eyes burned. Tessa quietly slid the tissue box toward me. "I'm not crying," I said. "I didn't say you were, it's the medication." "Absolutely, I mean it. Claire, I blamed my divorce on seasonal allergies for 6 months. You're safe with me." I pressed a tissue beneath my eyes. She was supposed to come today. I know. She made a whole thing about it. Packed a tote bag, bought one of those neck pillows. The travel pillow? She said hospital chairs were hard on her spine. Tessa's mouth twitched. "She called this morning because Evan couldn't find his passport," I continued. "Not because he was traveling today. He just wanted to make sure he had it. September is famously imminent. She said he was spiraling. And now, he found it." And your mom? She went to breakfast with him. Tessa looked down at her hands. That hurt worse than if she had cursed. I wanted her outrage because outrage would let me pretend the situation was simple. Her quiet made room for the part I didn't want to say aloud. If Mom had walked into the infusion room right then, carrying the wrong tea and complaining about parking, I would have been relieved to see her. My phone lit again, this time with Evan's name. Hey, don't know what's going on, but Mom says there's an issue with the transfer. Call me? I read it 3 times. What transfer? I said. Tessa held out her hand and I gave her the phone. Her eyebrows rose. He thinks you already agreed. I didn't even know the deposit was due. Did your mom ever mention paying for the trip? No. At Easter, Mom had made a toast to Evan and Marissa. She had called Hawaii our anniversary surprise to you, but I thought she meant the bottle of champagne they had brought. Evan had hugged both our parents. Mom had looked at me over his shoulder and smiled. At the time, I'd smiled back. A little compartment inside the day clicked open. I scrolled through old messages. There were references I had skimmed past. Mom asking whether my bank had daily transfer limits. Mom saying she wanted to do something meaningful for Evan after the year he's had. Mom sending a link to the hotel and asking, "Isn't family what we invest in?" I had responded to that one with a heart. Apparently, my mother had converted an emoji into a financing agreement. Rochelle disconnected the syringe and checked my face. "You're doing great." I almost laughed. Everyone loved telling me that. My phone rang again. Mom. This time I answered. Claire. Her relief came out sharpened. "Thank goodness. I've been trying to reach you. I noticed. I don't understand why you aren't responding. Evan's travel agent needs the deposit by 5. I looked at the clock on the wall. It was 11:26. "I'm getting chemo, Mom. I know that. I was there for the important part last time. The important part. As though today were a rerun." She lowered her voice. "Did you transfer it?" "No." A pause. "All right, well, can you do it now? Why would I?" Another pause, longer this time. I could hear restaurant noise behind her, silverware, voices, a blender. Then Evan laughing at something in the distance. Mom had called me from breakfast with him to ask me to pay for his Hawaii trip while poison entered my bloodstream. "Because it's due today," she said carefully. "I texted you the amount. You texted me an amount. You didn't ask me for anything. Claire, please don't be difficult over wording." Tessa stared straight ahead, giving me privacy without pretending not to hear. "Did you tell Evan I was paying?" Mom exhaled. "We told him the trip was from the family." "Which family? This is not the time." "No, I'd actually love to know which family is sending him to Hawaii." Her voice softened, which was always more dangerous than when it rose. "Honey, I know you're under a lot of stress. Treatment can make everything feel personal." I looked at the red medication disappearing through the clear line into my body. "This is personal." No one said it wasn't. Evan has had an awful year. The promotion fell through, and he and Marissa have been under strain. This trip could be exactly what their marriage needs. Then they should pay for it. They can't cover the full amount today. Neither can you. We would if we could. There it was, the Bennett family definition of generosity. Wanting to give something counted exactly the same as giving it, provided I supplied the money. "Put your father on your card if you're worried about being repaid," she said. "We'll figure it out after your treatment settles down." "My treatment isn't weather, Mom. I didn't mean it like that." "Then how did you mean it?" Evan's voice sounded faintly in the background. "Is she doing it?" Mom muffled the phone. I heard her say, "I'm handling it." Something inside me went still. Not angry, not brave, just still. Rochelle glanced at the monitor, then at me. Tessa's hand rested on the arm of her chair, close enough for me to reach, but not touching me without permission. Mom came back on the line. "I don't want you getting upset while you're doing your treatment. Just send the money and then you can rest." For one wild second, I pictured myself obeying. I could open the banking app, transfer the money, receive a heart from Evan and a relieved phone call from Dad. Mom might arrive later with soup and tell me she knew she could count on me. Peace was available. It cost $4,200 today. I wondered what it would cost next time. No, I said. Mom gave a short, confused laugh. No what? I'm not paying for Evan's vacation. The restaurant noise seemed to vanish. Then my mother said my name the way people say careful when they mean go back. I ended the call. For 3 seconds, nothing happened. No lightning struck the building. My IV pole did not tip over. No nurse sounded an alarm because a daughter had told her mother no. Then my phone began to vibrate. Mom called once. Dad called twice. Evan sent a question mark followed by another question mark followed by Mom says, "You hung up on her?" Tessa reached over and switched my phone to silent. "Can I do that?" she asked after doing it. Yes. Good. Consent is important, but timing is also important. Rochelle watched the numbers on the pump. Blood pressure looks fine. You can tell? I can tell the machine isn't concerned. She looked at my phone, then back at me. Machines have limited information. I put both hands beneath the blanket because they had started trembling. I didn't regret saying no. That was almost worse. Regret would have given me something familiar to manage, an apology, a compromise, a number smaller than 4,200. Instead, there was only a clean, terrifying space where obedience had always been. Tessa handed me a ginger ale. Tiny sip. I'm not nauseous. Your hands are shaking. I'm cold. You're a terrible liar. I'm on chemotherapy. I'm entitled to one personality flaw. One? I looked at her. Sorry, she said. The medication makes counting difficult. The pump continued its soft mechanical rhythm. Around us, the room went on being painfully normal. The man across from me announced that salsa was legally a salad. His wife told him she was calling a lawyer. A volunteer asked whether I wanted another blanket. Somewhere down the row, an older woman began snoring beneath a pink knit cap. My phone kept lighting up inside Tessa's tote bag. She had placed it there after the 6th call. I feel like we buried a body, I said. A very small, very annoying body. What if something's wrong? With whom? My dad. He called you 40 seconds after your mom. Unless he experienced a major medical event while she was telling him you misbehaved, he's fine. You don't know that. No, but I know you. I hated how quickly fear could put me back in position. Dad might have fallen. Mom might be driving upset. Evan might be having one of his panic episodes, the ones Mom described as though they came with wind advisories. My family had trained me so well that even their reaction to my boundary felt like my responsibility. Tessa must have seen the argument happening on my face. 10 minutes, she said. Leave the phone alone for 10 minutes. If the Republic falls, I'll give it back. You're very controlling. I learned from watching your mother. I choked on my ginger ale. Rochelle looked over. Still not climbing out the window? Ask me in 9 minutes. By the time the pump beeped, the shaking had eased. Rochelle flushed my line and went through the list of things I was supposed to monitor. Fever, shortness of breath, uncontrolled vomiting, swelling, dizziness. I nodded as though I had not heard the same list before. Tessa wrote everything down as though she had not either. Hydrate, Rochelle said. Take the nausea medication before you think you need it. Call us if anything feels wrong. What about an overwhelming desire to move to a country without cell service? That's not treatment-related. I think it is. She removed the tape carefully. Then I recommend somewhere warm. Hawaii? Tessa asked. Rochelle glanced between us. I'm going to pretend I understand that. After she left, I sat with my fingers resting over the small square of gauze on my chest. The room always felt different once the medication stopped. During the infusion, I could tell myself I was actively doing something. Afterward, I was just a person in a recliner, waiting to find out what the something would do to me. Tessa brought my phone out of her bag. Do you want a summary or the full horror? Summary. Your mother believes hanging up is unacceptable. Your father would like you to call because she is very upset. Evan does not understand what happened, but somehow he is already offended. Anything else? Your pharmacy says your prescription is ready. Finally, some good news. She held the phone just out of reach. Do you want it? No. Excellent choice. I didn't say, keep it forever. I heard forever. I stood too quickly and the floor shifted beneath me. Tessa caught my elbow. I'm fine. You have got to find a new word. The walk from the infusion room to the parking garage felt 3 times longer than it had that morning. Tessa carried my bag and walked on the side nearest the wall without making it obvious. The hospital lobby smelled like coffee and disinfectant. Near the elevators, a man held a balloon that said, "You're tougher than cancer," which seemed like an unfair amount of pressure to put on anybody, especially in metallic lettering. Outside, the heat hit me hard enough to make me stop. "Car's close," Tessa said. "It's May. Why does it feel like August?" "Because the sun has a personal issue with you." Her Subaru was parked in a space marked compact, although it contained enough emergency supplies to survive a regional disaster. She settled me in the passenger seat, turned the air conditioning directly at my face, and tucked a plastic basin beside my feet. For ambiance, she said. Classy. I almost brought the crystal one. She drove with both hands on the wheel, checking me at red lights. We had made it 6 blocks when my phone rang through the car speakers. Mom. Tessa stabbed at the console, but not before the Bluetooth announced, "Call from Mom." "Your car's a traitor," I said. "It's never liked me." The call went to voicemail. 30 seconds later, Evan's name appeared. "Do you want me to keep rejecting them?" she asked. "I don't know." That wasn't a trick question. I know. At the next light, I picked up my phone. Mom's messages filled the screen. "You embarrassed me in front of your brother. I don't know why you're behaving like this. We can discuss repayment tonight. Your father is worried about you." Then finally, "I hope Tessa isn't filling your head with things while you're vulnerable." I read that one aloud. Tessa's face remained still. "Your mother gives me a lot of credit. I can barely fill my own gas tank without watching a tutorial. I started typing, erased it, typed again. This has nothing to do with Tessa. I deleted that too. Defending Tessa would allow Mom to make Tessa the subject. Mom was good at creating side doors when the front entrance led somewhere she did not want to go. Evan sent another message. "Can you please just tell me what the problem is?" I typed, "I never agreed to pay for your trip." My thumb hovered over send. It was true. It was also a match held near gasoline. Once I sent it, Mom's story would no longer be protected by my silence. Evan would ask questions. Dad would say I should have called him first. Mom would say I had chosen the cruelest possible wording. I locked the screen. "Why didn't you send it?" Tessa asked. "I don't want to do this by text. Fair. I don't want to do it at all. Also fair. She'll tell him I'm upset from treatment." Probably. She already has. "How do you know?" "Because it works. It turns everything I say into a symptom." The light changed. Tessa drove. My apartment was on the second floor of a brick building with flower boxes maintained by a retired accountant named Mr. Pennington. He had strong opinions about mulch and had left a bag of lemons outside my door after my surgery with a note that said, "For vitamins." The lemons had been hard enough to use as weapons. Tessa parked and came upstairs with me. She put my medication on the kitchen counter, filled a glass with water, and opened the refrigerator. "You have soup, rice, yogurt, applesauce, and 6 containers your mother labeled in a handwriting style I would describe as aggressively maternal. She made all that. I know." The containers had dates, reheating instructions, and little hearts drawn beside my name. One held chicken and wild rice soup, the only thing I had wanted after my second infusion. Mom had driven 40 minutes to bring it, then cleaned my kitchen while I slept. I touched the lid. "That's the hard part," I said. Tessa shut the refrigerator. "If she were awful all the time, this would be easy." "Probably. She's not." "I know. She loves me." Tessa leaned against the counter. "I know that too." There was no but. She let the sentence stand. Complicated and insufficient. I took my nausea pill and sat at the small table near the window. My apartment looked exactly as I had left it that morning. Unopened mail stacked beside the fruit bowl, a cardigan over the back of a chair, one coffee mug in the sink. I had expected Mom to arrive early with too much food and complaints about my parking lot. Instead, Tessa had found me already dressed, sitting on the edge of my bed because I was too tired to put on my shoes. "I can stay," she said. "You have work. I told them I might be out all day. You took last Tuesday off too. I have vacation time." "For your vacation. I'm vacationing in scenic oncology." I smiled. "Go. I'm going to sleep." "Are you sure?" "Yes." She studied me. "If you throw up, call me. If you spike a fever, call the clinic. If your mother comes over, pretend you're not home. I'm not doing that. Then call me before you let her in." That's dramatic. She tried to buy a Hawaiian vacation with your chemotherapy savings before lunch. They aren't chemotherapy savings. They're your savings, and you have chemotherapy. I stand by the branding. At the door, she turned and pointed at me. Hydrate, medication, no financial transfers, bossy, alive and solvent. That's our goal. After she left, the apartment became too quiet. I pulled the curtains halfway closed and lay down without changing clothes. Sleep came in short, shallow stretches. Every time I drifted, my phone buzzed on the nightstand. At 3, I woke to a voicemail from Dad. "Hey, sweetheart, it's me. Your mother says you're having a rough day. She's not mad exactly, but she is hurt. I know the medication does a number on you. Give her a call when you're feeling more like yourself, okay? We can sort out the money." I told her you've always come through for us. Love you. I listened twice. Not mad exactly. Feeling more like yourself. Always come through for us. He had compressed my entire role in the family into a 40-second message and still sounded gentle doing it. I set the phone down, then picked it up again when Evan called. This time, I answered. "Hey," he said. His voice was cautious but warm, which made me instantly tired. "How's chemo?" "Finished." "Good. I mean, not good. You know what I mean." "I do. Mom's kind of losing it." I gathered. He gave a nervous laugh. "So what happened? She said you got confused about the Hawaii transfer." "I'm not confused." "Okay. Did Mom tell you I was paying the deposit?" A silence opened between us. Then he said, "Wait, you're not?" "You thought I was?" I asked. "I thought Mom and Dad were giving us the trip. Mom and Dad don't have $4,200 for a hotel deposit. I don't know what they have. You asked them to help you refinance your car last month. That doesn't mean I audit their accounts." "No, I do." He went quiet again. The nausea pill had left a chalky taste at the back of my throat. I reached for my water, but the glass was empty. The kitchen was 15 feet away and might as well have been another state. Evan cleared his throat. "Mom said it was from the family. She said you were handling the transfer because you're better with this stuff." "Handling it with what, exactly?" "I assumed they gave you the money. They didn't." "Okay, well, I didn't know that. I know." The softness of my answer seemed to irritate him more than an accusation would have. "You're saying that like I did something wrong. I'm saying Mom promised you something with my money. I didn't ask her to do that. Did you ask for the trip?" "No, not like that." His voice tightened. Marissa and I had talked about wanting to go. Mom brought it up. She said she and Dad wanted to do something nice for our anniversary. And when she said I was handling the transfer, I thought you were helping them book it. You never asked me. Why would I ask you about a gift from Mom and Dad? That was fair, which annoyed me. I pressed my fingers against my eyelids. What did she tell you after I hung up? That you were overwhelmed from treatment and got upset because she brought up money at a bad time. She brought up money during chemo because the deposit was due. I told her the timing sucked. "Thank you for your courage." "Oh, come on, Claire, what?" "I'm trying to understand." "No, you're trying to figure out whether the trip is still happening. I'm trying to understand why everybody is suddenly acting insane over something that should be simple. Then pay the deposit." He made a sound halfway between a laugh and a sigh. "If I had $4,200 available today, do you think we'd be having this conversation? That doesn't make it my bill. I didn't say it did. Mom did. I'm not Mom." I closed my eyes. Then stop arguing her position. For a moment, all I could hear was the low buzz of his car's air conditioner. Evan conducted most serious conversations from his car. He said it helped him think. I suspected it helped him leave whenever thinking became unpleasant. He lowered his voice. Marissa thinks the trip is paid for. She thinks the entire trip is paid? The hotel, not flights. Why? Because that's what Mom told us. I sat up straighter and immediately regretted it. The room tilted, then settled. Did Mom say I offered to pay? No. You're sure? Yes. She said it was from all of you. All of you. Mom had not simply used my money. She had wrapped it in family-colored paper so nobody would have to notice where it came from. When is Marissa getting home? I asked. She's here. The answer was too quick. Am I on speaker? No. Can she hear you? She's in the kitchen. From somewhere near him, a woman's voice said, I can hear both of you. Evan muttered something away from the phone. Marissa and I had never been close, but we had never disliked each other. She worked in marketing for a home security company, wore bright lipstick even at backyard cookouts, and had a talent for turning stories about terrible clients into 5-minute comedy routines. She also had an uncanny ability to disappear when my parents needed help moving furniture. Hi, Claire, she called. Hi, Marissa. I didn't know your mom expected you to pay. I believe you. She told us it was an anniversary gift. I know. Evan came back. Can we not do this with her listening? She's part of the vacation. That isn't what I mean, Marissa said. I'm going upstairs. A cabinet closed harder than necessary. Evan waited until he heard her footsteps. Great. I didn't put you on speaker. No, you just made it sound like we accepted charity from you. You did accept charity. You just thought it came from Mom and Dad. That's different. Why? Because they offered. There it was. I let the silence sit between us long enough that he heard it too. Look, he said, I'm not saying you should pay. Obviously, if you never agreed, that's messed up. But the deposit is due today, and Mom told us this was handled. If the reservation gets canceled, we lose the rate. That's unfortunate. Could you loan it to them? Just for a week or two? My bonus should come through next month. No. He exhaled. You didn't even think about it. I've been thinking about it since a nurse connected medication to my chest. I know you're having a bad day. My day is not the reason I said no. I didn't say it was. You keep saying it. Claire, you're clearly upset. Yes, Evan, I'm upset. That doesn't make me confused. I never called you confused. Mom did, and you repeated her version. He was silent. My stomach rolled. I pulled the plastic basin closer with my foot. I need to go, I said. Are you sick? I had chemotherapy. Right. Sorry. Of course. A tiny, terrible part of me wanted him to hear me vomit. Not because I wanted sympathy. I wanted evidence. I wanted something ugly enough to compete with a hotel reservation. Instead, I swallowed hard and breathed through my nose. Are you going to call Mom? He asked. No, she's really upset. I'm aware. She thinks you're punishing her. For what? I don't know. Missing today, maybe. I looked at the closed curtains. Did she tell you why she missed it? The passport thing. You found it at 7:30, 7:20 actually, and then you took her to breakfast. She was already there. She was supposed to be here. I didn't know that. How could you not know that? She didn't tell me. The anger drained so quickly it left me cold. That was Mom's magic. She could stand between two people holding a piece of each one's truth, then act wounded when they discovered the edges did not match. Evan's voice softened. I'm sorry. I really didn't know. I believed him. That did not make me feel better. Get some rest, he said. We'll figure the trip out. We? You know what I mean. I'm not part of figuring it out. Fine, Mom and me. And Marissa. Good. He hesitated. Love you. Love you too. The words were automatic, but they were not false. I ended the call and made it to the bathroom just in time. When I came out, I rinsed my mouth and sat on the hallway floor with my back against the wall. The tile was cool beneath my palms. My phone lay beside me. screen bright with a new group message from Evan. Let's all cool off. There was a misunderstanding about the trip. Claire didn't realize Mom expected her to send the deposit. We'll work something else out, Mom answered almost immediately. Claire knew we needed her help. She's not feeling like herself today. Please give her grace. I laughed once, a dry little sound that hurt my throat. Dad added a thumbs up. I typed, I'm not confused, and I don't need grace for refusing to pay for someone else's vacation. Then I deleted it. I turned the phone off. For the next 2 hours, nobody could reach me, and the world did not end. I slept on top of my bedspread with one shoe still on. When I woke, the light behind the curtains had turned gold, and someone was knocking on my front door. 3 quick taps, a pause, then 2 more. Mom. I lay still. The knocking came again. Claire? I know you're home. Tessa's car isn't here. I pushed myself upright. My mouth tasted like metal. Every joint ached as though I had spent the afternoon carrying furniture instead of sleeping. Claire? I remembered Tessa pointing at me from the doorway. Call me before you let her in. I did not call. Mom stood in the hallway holding 2 canvas grocery bags and the insulated tote she had packed for the infusion. The gray travel pillow was looped around one handle. Her face changed when she saw me. Oh, sweetheart. She came in before I moved aside, set the bags on the floor, and wrapped her arms around me carefully. She smelled like her rose hand cream and the coffee she only drank after saying she shouldn't. For one humiliating second, I leaned into her. You look exhausted, she murmured. I am. Did you take the nausea medication? Yes. Have you eaten? No. She pulled back and touched my cheek. Her wedding ring was cool against my skin. You're clammy. I threw up. Oh, Claire. The concern in her voice was real. That was what made her so difficult to defend against. She carried the bags into the kitchen and began unpacking them. Bananas, crackers, electrolyte drinks, a rotisserie chicken I could not smell without gagging. I wish you'd answered, she said. Your father and I were frantic. I was sleeping. You turned your phone off because everyone kept calling. We were worried. You were calling about Hawaii. I called because you hung up on me during a very strange conversation. She opened the refrigerator and started moving containers as if irritation could be organized by expiration date. I spoke to Evan, I said. Her hands paused. I know. He didn't know I was paying. I never said you were paying. You told him the trip was from the family and that I was handling the transfer. I thought we had an understanding. We didn't. She shut the refrigerator and faced me. I sent you the hotel information weeks ago. You send me a lot of things. You said it was beautiful. It is beautiful. You sent a heart. Mom, I am not legally responsible for everything I heart. I'm not talking about legal responsibility. Her voice sharpened. I'm talking about family. I never offered you $4,200. You know your father and I can't manage that kind of expense at the moment. Then why did you give it as a gift? Because Evan needed something good. He wanted a vacation. He and Marissa have been struggling. So have I. Her expression folded into hurt. You think I don't know that? I think you missed my infusion to help him look for a passport he didn't need for 4 months. I was coming afterward. You went to breakfast. He was upset. So was I. But you had Tessa. The sentence landed with such perfect logic that I almost admired it. Mom looked away first. She reached into the insulated tote and pulled out a thermos. I brought the tea you like. I don't want tea. Fine. She set it down too hard. I'm trying, Claire. So am I. I spent all afternoon trying to repair the damage from that phone call. What damage? Evan and Marissa are embarrassed. Your father is worried. And now your brother thinks I lied to him. You did. I was trying to give him something special. With my money. We would pay you back. When? When we could. I waited. Her eyes filled. I don't understand why you're doing this now. I'm not doing anything. I'm saying no. You're making me choose between my children. I looked at the travel pillow hanging from the grocery bag, packed for the chair she never sat in. "You already chose before breakfast," I said. Mom's face went blank. Not angry, not tearful. Blank, as if I had spoken in a language she refused to learn. "That is unbelievably cruel," she said. "I'm not trying to be cruel. You don't have to try very hard today." The rotisserie chicken smell thickened in the kitchen. I turned my head and breathed through my mouth. Mom noticed. Her anger vanished so fast it was almost frightening. "Oh, honey, sit down." She pulled out a chair, guided me into it, and opened a cabinet for a bowl. Her movements were quick and familiar. She had cared for me through every stomach virus, fever, breakup, biopsy, and surgery of my life. She knew which glass I preferred when I was sick. She knew I hated ice and water when I was nauseated. She knew to rub my back downward, never in circles. She moved the chicken into the refrigerator, opened the window above the sink, and dampened a washcloth with cold water. I took it from her. "Thank you. You're welcome." For a minute, neither of us mentioned Evan. She poured water into my blue glass and set 2 crackers on a saucer. The ordinary tenderness hurt more than the argument. "Try one," she said. "I will. Now. I'm not 6. You were stubborn at 6, too." I nibbled the edge of a cracker. She watched until I swallowed. "There," she said. "Was that so terrible?" "No. Sometimes you need to let people help you." I almost smiled at the precision of it. Mom sat across from me. Her eyes were puffy, and her lipstick had worn away except at the edges. She looked tired, not villainous, not calculating, just like my mother after a long day in which everyone had failed to behave according to the version she had prepared. "I'm sorry I missed today," she said. The apology came so directly that I didn't know what to do with it. "Thank you. I should have told Evan I couldn't help with the passport." "Yes, but I truly thought I could do both. You could have. He found it before 8. "I know. You still didn't come." She looked toward the window. "He asked me to stay for breakfast. He was upset about the promotion and wanted to talk. And I didn't?" "You never said you needed me. You promised you'd be there. That isn't the same as saying you need me." I set the cracker down. Mom rubbed her thumb against a water ring on the table. "You've always hated being fussed over. I hate being treated like I'm fragile." "Exactly. That doesn't mean I don't want anyone to show up. I have shown up, I know. Who took you to surgery? You did. Who stayed the first 3 nights? You did. Who washed your hair? You did, Mom." Her eyes filled again. "Then don't act like I abandoned you." I had not used that word. I had thought it, but I had not said it. I said you chose Evan today. He needed me today. So did I, but you had Tessa. I closed my eyes. She heard herself this time. I could tell by the way her chair creaked beneath her shifting weight. That came out wrong. No, it came out exactly right. I only meant you weren't alone. Neither was Evan. He was having a hard morning. I was receiving chemotherapy. You don't have to keep saying it like that. Like what? Like I don't understand what's happening to you. Do you? She stood and picked up the saucer, although the cracker remained on it. I am not going to compete over who had the worse day. That isn't healthy. I laughed before I could stop myself. What is funny? You made it a competition and then left when the score got uncomfortable. She placed the saucer in the sink. This is Tessa talking. No. Tessa uses more profanity. She has never liked us. She brought me home. I would have brought you home. You weren't there. Mom gripped the edge of the counter. I said I was sorry. You did. What else do you want from me? I don't know. Well, apparently nothing I do is enough. That sentence had ended more disagreements in my family than any apology ever had. Once Mom became the person who was failing, everyone else had to stop having needs and begin reassuring her. I looked down at my hands. I'm too tired to do this. Her shoulders lowered. So am I. Then please go. She stared at me. You want me to leave? Yes. While you're sick. I want to sleep. I can stay in the living room. I don't want you to." Her mouth tightened. I saw the instant my request became rejection in her mind. I almost took it back. The old words rose automatically. "I didn't mean it that way. Stay if you want. I'm sorry." Instead, I drank some water. Mom picked up her purse, then stood beside the grocery bags without lifting them. "The reservation is being held until 6, she said. I looked at the clock. 5:18. She kept her voice careful. "Your father can pay you $1,000 next Friday. And the rest? Evan's bonus is expected next month." Expected, yes. "And if it doesn't come, we will work it out. We always work it out with my money." "That's not fair. Dad still owes me for the hospital bill. We use the refund for the living room furniture." "I know. You told us not to worry about it." "I told you not to worry while the insurance appeal was pending. The check arrived during a very difficult time. You bought a couch. Our old couch was falling apart. It had heated cup holders." She blinked. "They came with it." Despite everything, a laugh escaped me. Mom stared, then gave a small, unwilling smile. Well, they did. For a moment, we were ourselves again, or the version of ourselves I kept trying to save. Mom sat on one arm of the chair. She reached over and smoothed my hair away from my forehead. "You see," she said softly, "we can talk about these things." "No, we can't." Her hand stopped. "You still want the money. I want you not to make a permanent family problem over a temporary loan. I've said no 3 times, and I'm trying to understand why, because I don't want to pay for Evan's vacation. You could put it on your card. That would give us time without taking anything from your savings. It would still be my debt for a month." "No, Claire, no." She removed her hand from my hair. The loss of her touch felt physical. Mom stood, picked up her purse, and walked to the door. I followed slowly, expecting her to take the groceries. She left them. At the threshold, she turned. "I hope you think about how this affects everyone, not just you. I have cancer, and somehow I'm still not the person we're worried about." Her face crumpled. I hated myself the second I said it. Not because it wasn't true, but because it was designed to wound. I knew where her guilt lived, and I had put my thumb directly against it. She opened the door. "Mom, I need to go." I shouldn't have said it like that. "No." She stepped into the hallway. "You should get some rest." "Mom." She did not look back. I closed the door and leaned against it until I heard her footsteps disappear down the stairs. Then I called Tessa. She answered on the first ring. "Fever, vomiting, or Denise. All 3 get equal billing?" "Denise gets a higher copay. She came over." "I know, how?" She texted me. I pushed away from the door. "Why does she have your number?" "Because she asked for it after your surgery in case of an emergency." "What did she say?" "That she appreciated my helping today, but family matters should remain within the family." Oh my God. I sent a thumbs up because I panicked. I laughed, then started crying so abruptly I had to sit on the floor again. Tessa's voice changed. "Hey, I told her she chose Evan." "She did." "I told her to leave." "Okay," I made her cry. "She made you cry too. Nobody gets a trophy." "I was mean." "Were you inaccurate?" "That doesn't make it kind." "No, it doesn't." I pressed my palm against my forehead. "She brought groceries." "Of course she did." "She apologized for missing the infusion." "That's good." "Then she asked me to put the hotel deposit on my credit card." "That's less good." She made it sound so reasonable. "She's had practice. She said they'd repay me." "What did you say?" "No." The word still sounded strange in my mouth, smaller than everything it had caused. "Okay," Tessa said. "What if I'm overreacting? You are allowed to decide how to spend your own money without passing a psychological exam. It's not just the money. I know. I think she really believes I agreed. Maybe she does. How? Because you usually do." That silenced me. On the kitchen counter, the insulated tote remained open. Inside were 2 tea bags, a paperback mystery Mom had bought because the detective shared my name, and a folded fleece throw covered in yellow suns. She had packed it all for me. She had meant to sit beside me. I walked over and touched the blanket. "I don't know how to love her and stop doing this," I said. "Maybe you don't have to know tonight." The hotel deadline passed while we were on the phone. At 6:07, Evan sent one message to the family group. "Reservation canceled. We lost $650. Hope everyone's happy." Mom did not respond. Dad wrote, "This has gone too far." I stared at the screen until Tessa asked what happened. "They lost the reservation." "Did you make the reservation?" "No." "Did you promise to fund the reservation?" "No." "Then you didn't cancel anything. It doesn't feel that way. It will take practice." After we hung up, I ate half a banana and went back to bed. Sleep would not come. My body hurt in waves, and every time I closed my eyes, I saw Mom's face at the door. At 8:40, Dad sent me a private message. "Your mother is devastated. Please apologize tomorrow. We'll forget the trip and move on." I typed, "Will Evan repay the $650? Dad's answer came quickly. He shouldn't have to. He was told it was covered. I lay there with the phone against my chest. For once, Dad was right. Evan should not have to pay for a promise someone else made. He simply believed the wrong person was responsible. My phone buzzed again. This time, it was a calendar reminder. Denise's birthday dinner, 11 days. I had reserved the private room at Mom's favorite Italian restaurant. I had collected menu choices, ordered a lemon cake, and put the deposit on my card. 20 adults were coming. Dad had promised to reimburse half, which meant I had already planned to pay for all of it. The next morning, with a headache pressing behind my eyes and Mom's untouched yellow blanket over my legs, I called the restaurant. I canceled the private room, forfeited the $100 deposit, and asked them to release the date. Then I opened the family group chat. I won't be hosting Mom's birthday dinner this year. Someone else will need to make the arrangements. The 3 dots beneath Evan's name appeared before I could set the phone down. "Are you serious?" Dad answered next. "What does your mother's birthday have to do with Hawaii?" Mom took longer. "Please don't do anything else on my account. I don't want to fuss." That was how Mom expressed fury in front of witnesses. She withdrew all desire, became tragically undemanding, and waited for everyone to punish the person who had forced such humility upon her. Evan obliged, "So we lose our trip and now Mom loses her birthday." I typed, "The restaurant reservation is canceled. You have 11 days to plan something else." Dad called. I watched his name fill the screen until the ringing stopped. Then it started again. "You raised me to be persistent," he said when I answered. His voice was light, but I could hear Mom moving around behind him. Cabinet doors opened and closed with controlled force. "I'm sick, Dad." "I know, sweetheart. I'm not asking you to have a long conversation. You called twice, because you didn't answer the first time." I lay back against my pillows and pulled the yellow blanket higher. "What do you need?" "I need to know why you canceled your mother's dinner. Because I'm not hosting it. You already planned it. I canceled it." "That's not an explanation. I had chemo yesterday. I spent last night throwing up and arguing about a vacation I never offered to pay for. I don't want to coordinate dinner for 20 people. You won't have to do much. The restaurant handles the food. I chose everyone's meals. I ordered the cake. I was making place cards because Mom said Aunt Linda can't sit near Sharon after the Christmas newsletter incident. That sounds like their problem. It became mine. You could have asked for help." I closed my eyes. "Would you have helped?" "Of course." "What were you going to do?" "I told you I'd cover half." "With what money?" His silence answered before he did. "I have it, Claire. You have $2,600 on the card Mom asked me to transfer last year. That's between your mother and me. The card is in my name. We're paying it. Mom sent $60 last month. That was an unusually tight month. They've all been unusually tight." He exhaled near the phone. "This is exactly what I mean. You're mixing everything together." "No, it was already mixed together. I'm just looking at it. Yesterday was a misunderstanding. Your mother shouldn't have assumed you would cover the hotel." Behind him, Mom said, "I didn't assume." Dad muffled the phone. Their voices became a low, irritated blur. When he returned, he sounded older. She agrees the situation could have been handled better. By who? By everyone. The Bennett family apology. A fog large enough that nobody could locate the person who caused the crash. I need to sleep, I said. Before you do anything else, call the restaurant back. The room is gone. You canceled it 10 minutes ago. There was a waiting list. What about the deposit? I lost it. $100? Yes. He groaned as if I had thrown the cash into traffic. I will send you the $100, he said. With what money? Stop doing that. Doing what? Making me feel like I have to account to you for every dollar. A laugh came out before I could prevent it. Dad, you called to make me account for 100. That's different. It always is. Mom said something in the background. Dad lowered his voice. Your mother thinks you're canceling the dinner to punish her. I'm canceling it because I don't want to do it. You've always enjoyed planning these things. Had I? I enjoyed Mom glowing when she entered a room and saw that I had remembered the flowers she liked. I enjoyed Dad telling relatives that I had thought of everything. I enjoyed Evan showing up late, kissing my cheek and saying, "This is amazing, Claire Bear," before taking a drink he had not purchased. Maybe that counted as enjoyment. I'm not doing it this year, I said. You're making a statement. I'm going back to sleep. He sighed. Fine. Rest. We'll talk when you feel better. I feel clear now. You know what I mean. I did. He meant when I felt cooperative. The second day after treatment was always worse than the first. By noon, the light hurt. Water tasted like it had been stored in a toolbox. I moved between my bed and bathroom carrying the basin Tessa had left in her car and then retrieved at 6 that morning because, according to her, ambiance must travel. She worked from my couch, taking calls through a headset and typing with the fury of someone personally offended by email. Every hour, she appeared in my doorway with water. Drink. You've become my mother. I will fling myself from the balcony. It's one story. You have a point. Drink. Mom did not call. That should have been peaceful. Instead, I checked my phone whenever I woke. She had been the first person to text after every previous infusion. Sometimes it was only a heart, sometimes a reminder about medication. Once she sent a picture of Dad wearing 2 different shoes because she thought it would cheer me up. Her silence now felt constructed, brick by brick. On Friday, I logged into work from bed. My supervisor, Angie, saw my face on the video call and said, "Absolutely not. There's a carrier issue in Louisville. There will still be a carrier issue when you stop looking haunted. I can fix it in 20 minutes. 15. Then log off." I fixed it in 12. Angie sent me a gift card for soup and a message that said, "Being good at your job is not a medical exemption." I stared at it longer than necessary. At work, competence came with a salary, paid leave, and a supervisor who told me to stop. At home, it came with another assignment. The family group chat remained busy without anyone addressing me directly. Dad asked for restaurant suggestions. Evan sent a link to a steakhouse that required a credit card hold. Mom said she would be happy with pizza. Aunt Linda volunteered a place Mom hated. Marissa suggested they host at my parents' house and order Italian food. That became the plan. On Sunday, Marissa texted me privately. "Do you still have the guest list?" I sent her the spreadsheet. "Of course you have a spreadsheet," she replied. "There are seating notes. Ignore them at your own risk." She sent a laughing face, then nothing for nearly a minute. "I'm sorry about the trip mess." I read the message twice. "Thank you. Evan truly thought your parents paid. So did I. I know. We wouldn't have accepted if we knew it was coming from you." The word accepted bothered me, though I couldn't explain why. They had accepted my mortgage payment during Evan's job change. They had accepted plane tickets for Dad's 60th birthday after Evan forgot to save for them. Maybe gifts only became embarrassing once named. I typed 3 versions of a response and settled on, "I believe you didn't know." Marissa reacted with a heart. Apparently hearts had no fixed monetary value after all. Mom's birthday arrived bright and warm. I stood in front of my closet trying to find something that made me look less tired. My hair had begun thinning at the temples. Not enough for anyone else to notice, but enough that I noticed nothing else. Tessa sat on my bed with a lint roller. "You don't have to go," she said. "I want to. Do you? I want to see her." "That's not the same question." I pulled on a blue cardigan. I bought her gift before all this. A soft cashmere wrap sat in a white box on my dresser. Mom had admired it in a shop window 2 months earlier, then laughed at the price. I had gone back the next day. Tessa rolled lint from my shoulder. "Set an exit time. I'll leave after cake. Set an exit sentence. I'm tired. I'm going home." Good. No apology, no medical dissertation, no request for permission. You rehearse boundaries like emergency landings. Most crashes happen during takeoff and family dinners. At my parents' house, cars lined both sides of the street. Through the front window, I saw relatives balancing paper plates in their laps. Someone had taped gold streamers above the television. One end had already fallen. Dad opened the door wearing an apron that said, "Mr. Good lookin' is cookin'," although the food had arrived in aluminum trays. "There she is." He hugged me too tightly, then stepped back. "You look pale." "Happy birthday to you too." "You know what I mean." He took the gift box. "Your mother's in the kitchen. She'll be glad you came." Mom stood beside the sink arranging basil leaves on a platter of grocery store mozzarella. She looked beautiful in a green blouse and the pearl earrings Dad gave her every 5 years because he forgot which gifts he'd already used. When she saw me, her hand stopped. "Hi," I said. "You came." "Of course I came." She wiped her fingers on a towel and hugged me carefully. Her cheek rested against mine for 1 extra second. "I wasn't sure," she said. I said I would. "You also said a lot of things this week." Before I could answer, Aunt Linda swept into the kitchen and exclaimed over my cardigan as though knitwear had cured me. The moment closed. Dinner was chaotic, under-seasoned, and completely adequate. Nobody had place cards. Linda ended up beside Sharon and spent 20 minutes explaining why the phrase "eventful year" in a Christmas newsletter was passive-aggressive. Dad forgot serving spoons. Evan arrived with the cake 40 minutes late because the bakery had written "Happy Birthday, Diana." "Same number of letters," he announced, scraping the name off with a butter knife. Mom laughed so hard she had to sit down. I laughed too. For a while, the resentment loosened. Marissa refilled my water without comment. Dad told a story about accidentally joining a senior pickleball league. Evan caught my eye while trying to repair the cake and made the helpless face he had used since we were young. My brother was easy to love when nothing was being asked of me. After the candles, Mom opened my gift. She ran the cashmere through her fingers and looked at me with shining eyes. "You remembered." I remembered. She draped it around her shoulders despite the warm room. "It's too much." The sentence hung there, dangerous in ways no one else understood. Then Dad began carrying plates to the kitchen, and everyone stood. I helped Mom collect wrapping paper until my legs started shaking. "I'm tired," I said. "I'm going home." She folded a ribbon into a neat coil. "Already?" "After cake, like I planned. There are dishes everywhere." I looked toward the kitchen. Evan was stacking plates while Marissa scraped food into the trash. Dad stood at the sink, staring at the dishwasher as though it required a license. "They can handle it," I said. Mom followed my gaze. Evan lifted a dripping serving tray and called, "Where does this go?" For once, Mom didn't answer for him. Neither did I. I kissed Mom's cheek and picked up my purse. She walked me to the front door, still wearing the cashmere wrap. Behind us, Aunt Linda was telling Dad that rinsing plates before loading the dishwasher wasted water, while Sharon insisted failing to rinse them was how civilizations collapsed. "You really don't feel well?" Mom asked quietly. "I really don't. I thought you seemed better at dinner. I can seem better for 2 hours." Her fingers tightened around the edge of the wrap. "I'm glad you came." "Me too. I wish you hadn't canceled the restaurant." There it was, tucked neatly between affection and goodbye. "I know. It would have been less work for everyone, not for me. You could have delegated." "I did. I delegated the entire birthday." Her mouth turned down. "You don't have to sound pleased about it. I'm not pleased. You made your point. This isn't a point." Before she could answer, Evan called from the dining room. "Mom, where do you keep garbage bags?" "Under the—" She stopped herself and looked at me. I waited. "Under the sink," she called. "Left side or right side?" Mom closed her eyes. "There are 2 cabinets, Evan." "So left?" I covered my mouth, but a laugh escaped anyway. Mom tried not to smile and failed. "You see what you've done?" she whispered. "He's going to have to open a cabinet. He may never recover." For that 1 second, the old ease returned. She touched my arm. I almost stayed. Then Evan appeared carrying a trash bag that was full but not tied. A ribbon trailed from the top. "You're leaving?" he asked. "I'm tired." He looked from me to Mom. "Okay." No accusation, no request. Just okay. Marissa came up behind him with her sleeves pushed to her elbows. "I put 2 containers of pasta in the fridge for you. Thanks. Don't let Paul give you the salad." He dropped the tongs in it after they fell on the floor. Dad shouted from the kitchen. 5-second rule. "It was more like 30, Marissa called back. I left before the evening could turn into something I would have to save. At home, I changed into pajamas and sat on the edge of my bed with Mom's birthday still clinging to me. The smell of garlic, the noise of overlapping voices, the feel of her arms around me. I had expected refusing to host would make me feel lighter. Instead, the burden had simply changed shape. Tessa texted. "Exit successful?" I replied. "Dishwasher casualties? Unknown." She sent a salute. My phone rang before I could lie down. I braced for Mom, but it was Aunt Linda. "Darling," she said, "I won't keep you." That promise had never once survived contact with reality. "I just wanted to tell you how brave you look." "Thanks, Linda. Pale, obviously, but brave." Good distinction. "And I wanted to mention, only because your mother would never say anything, that this week has been very hard on her." I lay back and stared at the ceiling. "She told you about Hawaii?" "Not details. I don't pry." Aunt Linda considered asking the price of a gift in front of the recipient a conversational warm-up. She said there was some misunderstanding involving Evan's anniversary and that you felt taken for granted. That's one version. Well, families get into patterns. Sometimes the capable person starts believing nobody appreciates her, when really everyone is simply respecting her abilities. I sat up again. "Did Mom ask you to call me?" "Absolutely not. Did she tell you I canceled the birthday dinner to punish her?" Linda paused. She may have wondered whether illness had made you unusually sensitive. "Chemo made me tired. That's why I canceled." "Of course. No one blames you." The sentence informed me that several people did. "I'm going to sleep now." "Certainly. Just remember, your mother needs support too. A daughter's illness is devastating." I ended the call before she could describe my cancer from Mom's perspective. 2 days later, Dad appeared at my door carrying a toolbox and a breakfast sandwich. "I brought bacon," he said. "Your mother said the smell might bother you, so I also brought egg and cheese. The bacon is on the egg and cheese." He opened the foil and examined it. They may have misunderstood the mission. I let him in. Dad was 67, broad-shouldered, silver-haired, and incapable of visiting my apartment without identifying something that needed repair. He noticed the loose hinge on the cabinet above my microwave before he removed his jacket. "Do you have a screwdriver? You're holding a toolbox, a Phillips. Mine's in the truck. Why did you bring a toolbox without a screwdriver? It has other things." He opened it. Inside were pliers, electrical tape, a tape measure, 4 loose batteries, and a package of zip ties. "You could kidnap someone," I said. "Not with my knees." I found a screwdriver in the junk drawer. He stood on a chair, tightened the hinge, then moved on to a drawer that had been sticking for 6 months. This was how Dad loved people. Quietly, with hardware. He would avoid a difficult conversation for a decade, but he would drive 40 miles because your faucet made the wrong noise. I ate half the sandwich while he sanded the edge of the drawer. "Mom send you?" I asked. "She mentioned you were still upset." "I'm not still upset. Nothing's been resolved." He blew sawdust from the wood. "The reservation is gone." Evan and Marissa are looking at cheaper options for next year. That resolves their vacation. What else is there? The part where Mom volunteered my money. She knows she shouldn't have done that. Has she said that? She doesn't use those exact words. Does she use any words near them? He slid the drawer into place. It opened smoothly. Your mother feels foolish, he said. That's hard for her. It's hard for everyone. She was trying to be generous. She is very generous with my resources. Dad gave me the look he used when Mom made an indefensible comment in public. It meant he knew I was right and expected me to stop because of it. I carried my plate to the sink. Do you remember the password for your electric account? What? The electric account. You have it. I do. Do you? Why would I need it if you have it? I dried my hands and opened the drawer beside the refrigerator. Inside was a blue folder labeled Mom Dad. It contained copies of insurance cards, account numbers, renewal dates, medication lists, and passwords written in pencil because Mom changed them whenever a website frightened her. I placed it on the table. Dad stared at it. What's that? Everything I manage for you. We didn't ask you to bring that out. I'm giving it back. His expression changed. Giving what back? The bills, the insurance logins, the pharmacy account, your medical portal. I'll show you what's on autopay and what isn't. Why? Because I don't want to be responsible for it anymore. You've been doing this for years. Yes, it takes you 10 minutes a month. I opened the folder. Your electric bill takes 10 minutes. Your insurance claim in March took 6 calls. Mom's pharmacy changed its refill system, so I spent 2 hours fixing that. You called me from Florida because neither of you knew the password to your hotel account. I had to reset it while I was in a radiation consult. We didn't know you were at the doctor. You knew I had cancer. He pulled out the chair across from me but did not sit. This feels punitive. It isn't. You decide to stop paying for Evan's trip. Fine. Then you cancel your mother's birthday and now you're dumping all this on us. I'm returning your own information to you. You make it sound like we're incompetent. I think you're capable. Then why did you take it over? That question stopped me. The honest answer was that Mom had called in tears after missing an insurance payment. Dad had forgotten a password and locked himself out of the account. I had fixed both in one afternoon. After that, they called me first. Eventually, they stopped trying before they called. But there was another answer, too. Because being helpful felt good, I said. Dad sat. I traced the edge of the folder. I liked knowing you needed me. I liked being the person who could fix things. You still are. I don't want to have to be. His face softened. Sweetheart, everyone wants to be needed. Not like this. He turned a page and frowned at the list. What's MedLink? Your prescription portal. I don't use a portal. I use it for you. Your mother handles prescriptions. I handle Mom handling prescriptions. That almost made him smile. He picked up the folder and weighed it in his hands. What happens if we mess something up? You call the company. And if they don't help? You keep calling. You make it sound easy. It isn't. He looked at me then. Really looked. His gaze paused at my thinning hair, the shadows under my eyes, the faint bruise near my port. I didn't realize there was this much, he said. Relief rose so quickly it embarrassed me. Then he added, but this is a bad time to make changes. Your mother's already overwhelmed. The relief collapsed. When would be a good time? After treatment, when things settle. My treatment is why I need less to manage. You manage a warehouse with 200 employees, 186, exactly. This is nothing compared to your job. My job pays me. His mouth hardened. We've paid for plenty over the years. I know. College. I had scholarships. Your first car. I paid you back. We fed you for 18 years. I looked at him. Dad looked away first. That came out wrong, he said. Did it? He rubbed both hands over his face. I'm trying to keep this family from splitting apart over a hotel room. It was never about a hotel room. Then what do you want? I want you to learn your own passwords." He picked up the folder and stood. At the door, I told him I would keep monitoring anything due before the end of the month. After that, the accounts were his and Mom's. He nodded without agreeing. Then he held up the blue folder. "Your mother is going to think this is another punishment. You can tell her it isn't." He gave me a tired, crooked smile. "You know she doesn't believe me when I tell her things she doesn't want to hear. I learned from the best." He flinched. I wanted to apologize. Instead, I hugged him. He held me for a long time, one hand against the back of my head. "I love you, Claire Bear," he said. "I love you too." He left with the folder under his arm and the useless toolbox in his hand. 10 minutes later, my phone rang. "Mom." I watched it ring once, stop, and begin again. On the third call, I answered. She did not say hello. "Why did you give your father a list of everything you do for us?" she asked. "Because you need to start doing it yourselves." A silence. Then she said very softly, "So this is who you're going to be now. I'm someone who needs you to manage your own accounts," I said. "That is not what I asked." "I know." Mom's breath came through the phone in short, controlled bursts. "Your father came home carrying that folder like he'd been fired. From what job? Being your father. Those are not the same thing. They are to him." I got up from the table and carried the foil from Dad's sandwich to the trash. The repaired drawer glided shut with insulting smoothness. "Did he show you what's in the folder?" "I don't need to see it. I know what you help us with. Do you?" "We have never forced you to do any of those things." "Mom." "You offered. You set up the payments. You said it was easier if you handled the insurance because you understood the terminology. Now you're presenting us with an itemized list like we've exploited you. It isn't itemized. That's not the point. It's a password list. It's a statement. In my family, every boundary was a statement because nobody could imagine I might mean exactly what I said." "I'm tired," I told her. "So is everyone." "I mean physically tired. I know what you mean, Claire. You don't have to keep reminding me you're sick." I leaned against the counter. "Apparently, I do. That is unfair. I have rearranged my entire life since your diagnosis. I waited. I've cooked for you. I stayed after surgery. I've driven you to appointments. 2. "What? 2 appointments? You're counting?" "I didn't have to." "There were 2. Her voice changed. "This is what I was afraid of." "What?" "That you've been keeping score all these years. The accusation hit because it contained a piece of truth. I knew what they owed. I knew the hospital bill, the credit card balance, the mortgage payment, the flights. I knew which holidays I had hosted and which errands I had rearranged. I could have built a spreadsheet. Maybe part of me already had. I remember my own life," I said. "You remember every dollar, because most of them never came back. We are your parents. I know. Families help each other without invoices. Who helps me? We do. How?" The question left my mouth before I could soften it. Mom went silent. I could imagine her standing in her kitchen beside Dad, one hand pressed to her chest. She would not hear curiosity in the question. She would hear erasure, every meal, every ride, every soft shirt after surgery. "I'm sorry," I said. "That came out. No. Don't take it back. I know you've helped me." "Do you?" "Yes. Because it seems you've decided everything we've ever done for you counts for nothing, while every favor you've done is a debt." "That isn't what I'm saying. You asked who helps you. Right now, Mom. Who is helping me right now? I brought you groceries. After you missed chemo, I apologized for that. And asked for my credit card." She inhaled sharply. We had reached the point where every road returned to Hawaii. "You want honesty?" she asked. "You like being the one everyone depends on." The sentence was almost identical to what I had admitted to Dad, but it sounded uglier in her voice. "I know. That stopped her." "You know?" "Yes. Being useful made me feel important." "Well?" She sounded briefly unprepared. "Then you can't blame us for believing you wanted to help. I can blame you for not noticing when helping became expected. We appreciated you. Appreciation isn't the same as asking. I asked about the deposit. You gave me a deadline and an amount. Oh, for heaven's sake. And when I said no, you kept asking. Because your refusal made no sense. It made sense to me. She lowered her voice. I don't know how to talk to you when you're like this. Like what? Cold. The word settled over me. I had been accused of many things in my life. Controlling, intense, impatient, overprepared. Cold was new. I'm gonna go, I said. Of course you are. You called me, and you've made it clear you don't want to be part of this family unless everything happens on your terms. I'm giving you your passwords. You're withdrawing. Yes, I said. From managing your bills. Where does it stop? I looked at the stack of mail beside my fruit bowl. Beneath an oncology statement was the monthly charge for our cell phone plan. Mom and Dad were still on mine because it had once been cheaper. For the last 3 years, their share had arrived whenever Dad remembered, usually after I mentioned it twice. The phone plan, I said. What about it? I'm moving you and Dad off mine at the end of next month. You can transfer the numbers to your own account. She gave a stunned laugh. You've thought of everything. I just looked at the bill. What else? Should we return our Christmas presents? Should your father invoice you for the cabinet hinge? Stop. No, I want to understand the new rules. They're not rules. I'm not paying for or managing things that belong to other adults. You've made your point. You keep saying that. Because you keep making one. We hung up without saying we loved each other. The next afternoon, Evan showed up with a container of Marissa's baked ziti and a bottle of ginger ale. Peace offering, he said. From who? Marissa. That tracks. He followed me into the apartment. His eyes landed on the repaired cabinet, the cleared breakfast plate, then my face. You look rough. You look observant. I didn't mean bad, just tired. I am tired. He held up the ziti. Should this go in the fridge? Yes. He opened the wrong cabinet, then another. That's a pantry. I know that. You're looking for the refrigerator. I was looking for plates. With the food still sealed? He shut the cabinet. Do you have to narrate everything I do? Only when it's confusing. He found the refrigerator without further assistance. Evan looked like Dad had at his age. Tall, broad through the chest, with brown hair that never stayed where he put it. He wore a collared shirt untucked over jeans and still had his office badge clipped to his belt. Mom called him handsome when she meant forgiven. He sat at my kitchen table without being invited. Mom says you're cutting them off. I gave them their account information. She says you dumped years of financial stuff on Dad and told them to figure it out. That is a dramatic description of a folder, and you're kicking them off your phone plan. Next month. Why now? Because I'm paying their phone bill. They pay you back, sometimes. He rubbed his hands over his thighs. This looks like revenge. For Hawaii? For Mom missing your infusion? For all of it? I don't need revenge. I need less to do. You canceled her birthday. I canceled the dinner I was expected to plan and pay for. She still had a birthday. You know what I mean. Everyone knew what everyone meant except me, apparently. I sat across from him. Why are you here? To check on you. Did Mom send you? No. Marissa. She suggested it. That means yes. His jaw tightened. See, this is what you do. What? You make it impossible for anyone to help unless they do it exactly right. I leaned back. He continued before courage left him. If I call, it's too late. If I bring food, Marissa must have made me. If Mom brings food, it doesn't count because she missed an appointment. Dad fixes something, and you hand him a resignation packet. It was a blue folder. You know what I'm saying? I do. Do you? His voice cracked slightly on the second word, surprising both of us. He looked away. You think I don't know you're the reliable one? I've heard it my entire life. Claire has savings. Claire remembers birthdays. Claire knew what she wanted at 25. Why can't you be organized like Claire? Mom has spent my entire life protecting you and reminding me I need protection. That shut me up. He picked at a scratch in the tabletop. Every time I screwed up, you came in and fixed it. Then everybody got to love you for fixing it and love me because I was helpless. I never asked you to be helpless. No, you just never let me forget you weren't. That's not fair. Neither is blaming me because Mom asked you for money. I'm not blaming you for what she did. You canceled my reservation. I didn't make your reservation. You knew we'd lose the deposit, so did you. I couldn't cover the rest. Then you couldn't afford the trip. He stood so abruptly the chair legs scraped the floor. There. That what? That voice. Like you're the only adult in the room. I stood too, though my knees felt unreliable. You came to my apartment to accuse me of punishing everyone because I stopped doing things no one should have expected me to do. You loved being expected. I did, I said, and you loved letting me. His face went red. Neither of us spoke. The refrigerator motor clicked on. Outside, someone dragged a trash bin across the parking lot. Finally, Evan said, I didn't know Mom missed chemo to help me. I know. If I'd known, I would have told her to go. I know. And I didn't know she was using your money. I know that too. Then why are you so mad at me? Because once you found out, you still asked me for it. He looked down. I asked for a loan after you knew. It was 5 hours before we lost $650, and I was still in the infusion chair. His shoulders dropped. For the first time since he arrived, he looked at the small bandage visible above my collar, not past it. I didn't think, he said. No, that doesn't mean I don't care. I know. He sank back into the chair. You keep saying you know, because that's the problem. I know everyone loves me. I just don't know why that never stops any of you. His eyes lifted to mine. He had no answer. After a while, he said, Marissa and I argued about the trip. I'm sorry. She said we should have asked more questions. I said normal people don't interrogate their parents about gifts. She's right. So am I. You are. He almost smiled. This is deeply unsatisfying. I'm trying something new. He stood again, more slowly. At the door, he said, Mom is scared. So am I. I know. This time the words sounded different. He left without hugging me. The baked ziti remained in the refrigerator untouched. That evening, Dad texted a photograph of his laptop screen. The electric company login page was open. In the password field, he had typed the actual password, fully visible. Is this right? I called him before he could send it to anyone else. He answered immediately. I got in. Dad, never text a picture of your password. You told me to learn it. I didn't tell you to broadcast it. I only sent it to you. That's how broadcasting starts. He laughed. Then, with the solemn pride of a man reporting from a hostile country, he said, I paid the bill myself. The relief in his voice was ridiculous. So was the warmth that moved through me. Good job, Dad. A pause. Your mother says not to patronize me. Put me on speaker. Another pause. She says absolutely not. Dad's new competence lasted 11 days before he stepped off a ladder in the garage and landed badly on his right foot. Mom called at 6:43 in the morning. Your father's hurt. I was sitting on the edge of my bed trying to decide whether the tingling in my fingers was worth mentioning to Rochelle. The insulated tote Mom had packed weeks earlier rested by the door, now refilled by Tessa with crackers, and enough ginger ale to stock a vending machine. What happened? He fell. Is he conscious? Of course he's conscious. He's arguing with me about whether it's broken. In the background, Dad said, I said it's not broken. Mom snapped, Your ankle is the size of a grapefruit, Paul. Grapefruit is an exaggeration. Where is he? I asked. On the garage floor. You left him there? He says not to move him. That's actually smart. Dad called. Thank you. Mom lowered her voice. I need you to come over. I have treatment at 9. This will only take a minute. Taking Dad to urgent care will not take a minute. He needs an x-ray. I know. So you need to come. I closed my eyes. Call Evan. He has a presentation this morning. I have chemotherapy. You can move an infusion by a few hours. No, I can't. There was a silence long enough for me to hear Dad shift and suck in a breath. Mom said, This isn't the time to prove a point. I'm not proving anything. Your father is lying on concrete. Call an ambulance if you can't get him up. He doesn't need an ambulance. He needs his daughter. He has two. I heard the sentence travel through her. Evan lives 30 minutes away, she said. I live 40. You know the hospital system. You know his medications. They're in the blue folder. This is not about passwords. No, it's about you calling the person who always says yes. Dad spoke louder. Denise, call the boy. Mom covered the phone, but I could still hear her. He has work. So does Claire. She has treatment. That sounds important. I smiled despite myself. Mom came back. Fine, I'll call Evan. Text me when you know what's wrong. I'm sure you'll be very concerned from your appointment. She hung up. Tessa knocked at 7, let herself in with the key I had given her after surgery, and found me standing in the kitchen holding a glass I had forgotten to fill. Is this performance art? She asked. Dad fell off a ladder. Her expression changed. Is he okay? I don't know. His ankle's swollen. Mom wanted me to skip treatment and take him for an X-ray. And you said, call Evan. Tessa took the empty glass, filled it, and handed it back. I'm trying not to celebrate a man's orthopedic injury, she said, but timing has always had a flair for drama. I feel terrible. Because your father is hurt, because Evan has a presentation. She stared at me. I hear it. Good. We left for the hospital at 7:30. By then, Evan had sent a family group message, taking Dad to urgent care. Will update. Mom added, because Claire has treatment. I typed, yes, because Claire has treatment. Tessa glanced at the screen while stopped at a light. Would it help if I threw your phone out the window? It might help everyone. At 8:20, Evan sent a picture of Dad in a wheelchair, smiling and giving a thumbs up. His right ankle looked less like a grapefruit than a cantaloupe. Dad says he's fine. Doctor says Dad is wrong. I reacted with a heart. Mom sent no response. Rochelle was waiting with her pink glasses and a clipboard. How was the nausea last cycle? Manageable. That means what in actual human language? I threw up twice the first day, once the second. Any fever? No. Neuropathy? Tingling in my fingertips, mostly at night. She wrote it down and asked more questions while Tessa unpacked the beige spectrum onto the tray. I answered carefully. For once, nobody in the room needed me to make my own medical information less inconvenient. The pump had been running 20 minutes when Evan called. I declined it, then immediately worried something had happened to Dad. Call him back, Tessa said. You're supposed to tell me not to. I'm supposed to help you distinguish a vacation deposit from an injured parent. Evan answered breathlessly. They think it's fractured. We're waiting for imaging. Okay. Do you know Dad's insurance group number? His card is in his wallet. His wallet is at home. Mom has a copy. She says you have it. The blue folder has a copy. The blue folder is also at home. I pinched the bridge of my nose. Can she go get it? She won't leave him. Take a picture of the insurance information in his patient portal. I can't log in. Dad has the password. He says you changed it. I reset it when he locked himself out. The new one is written in the folder, which is at home, correct. He exhaled. Can you log in? The old answer rose immediately. Yes, give me the website. I can fix this in 2 minutes. Rochelle adjusted the IV line beneath my collar. No, I said. You can't? I'm not going to. The urgent care staff can verify his coverage. They said it might take a while. Then it takes a while. Claire, you have Dad. He's safe. You're in the right place. Ask the front desk what they need. A pause. Fine. He hung up. My heart beat hard enough to show on the monitor. Tessa handed me a windmill cookie. Bite the head off. It's a windmill. Then bite off the structurally important part. 40 minutes later, Evan texted, "Insurance verified, nobody died." I replied, "Good." He sent back, "This front desk woman fears nothing. Dad had a small fracture and a severe sprain. They put him in a walking boot, gave him crutches he immediately disliked, and told him to keep weight off the foot until he saw an orthopedist. Mom called during my saline flush. They're sending him home, she said. He can barely stand. What did they say? Fracture. A small one, apparently, though I don't know why size matters when a grown man can't reach the bathroom by himself. Is Evan still there? He has to go back to work. Then you'll need to help Dad. I can't lift him. You shouldn't lift him. He has crutches. He nearly fell trying them. Ask Evan to stay until Dad can move safely. He has already missed half a day. So? Not everyone can take unlimited time off. I looked around the infusion room. No one has unlimited time off, Mom. I didn't mean you. You never do. Rochelle glanced at me. I turned away. Mom sighed. Could you come over after treatment? No. Why not? Because I'll be sick. You don't know that. I've done this before. Just for an hour. Help us get settled. Make sure I understand the medication schedule. The instructions will be printed. You know how doctors write. The nurse will explain it. She talks too fast. Ask her to slow down. Claire, please. The word caught me. Mom rarely said please until she had exhausted everything else. I can call tonight, I said. I can't come over. Your father came to your apartment and fixed a cabinet last week. He wasn't getting chemo. Everything comes back to that. Yes, I said. Right now it does. She ended the call. I expected guilt to swallow the rest of the day. Instead, Dad texted me from the urgent care parking lot. Your brother drives like he's transporting explosives. Then, how are you feeling? I answered honestly. Tired. Tingling is worse, but nurse knows. How's the ankle? Like I lost a bar fight with a ladder. We exchanged complaints until Tessa took my phone and announced that both Bennett patients needed naps. Evan did not return to work. Marissa covered his afternoon presentation by video while he drove Dad home, picked up the pain medication, moved a dining chair into the bedroom, and found an old shower stool in the basement. He sent updates to the family chat without drama. Dad home. Prescription filled. Follow-up Thursday. Mom replied to each one with a correction. The pharmacy gave the generic. The chair blocks the closet. Thursday is too long to wait. At 4, Evan finally wrote, "Then you call and change it." Mom did not answer. I slept through most of the evening. When I woke, there were 7 missed calls, but only one was from Mom. The others were Dad attempting to use video chat and apparently hanging up each time he saw his own forehead. I called him. His face appeared sideways. "Turn the phone," I said. He rotated it the wrong direction. "Other way. I hate this thing. You use it every day for calling, not television." The camera swung across the bedroom. Dad lay propped against 3 pillows, boot elevated. Mom sat in a chair reading the medication sheet. Evan was on the floor assembling a rolling cart he had bought for water, pills, and snacks. "Hey," he said without looking up. "How did the presentation go? It happened without me. Civilization continues. I'm sorry." He shrugged. Marissa handled it. Mom looked over the top of the paper. "The dosage instructions contradict the bottle." Evan said, "They don't. One says every 6 hours, and one says as needed. As needed no more often than every 6 hours. That is unnecessarily confusing." Dad called, "How was treatment, sweetheart?" "Fine." Mom's eyes lifted to my face on the screen. "You look pale." "I am pale. You should eat something." "I will." For a minute, nobody argued. Then Evan snapped a plastic shelf into place and announced, "There, Medical Command Center." The cart leaned slightly to the left. Dad inspected it. "Looks drunk. It was $29. You overpaid." I laughed. Mom did too, reluctantly. I visited 2 days later, wearing a mask and carrying nothing. Not soup, not forms, not a schedule. Just myself. The house smelled like coffee and menthol cream. Dad sat in his recliner with his boot on a pillow. Evan stood at the kitchen counter sorting pills into a weekly organizer, while Mom told him he was putting Tuesday in Wednesday. "It's Wednesday," he said. "Exactly." Marissa was on the phone ordering groceries. She covered the receiver. "Do they always need this many bananas?" "No one needs this many bananas," I said. Evan looked up. His shirt was wrinkled and there were purple shadows beneath his eyes. "Can you check this?" he asked, holding up the pill organizer. Mom nodded eagerly. "Yes, please." I looked at the compartments. Then I looked at my brother. What do the instructions say? His mouth tightened. Never mind, he said. I've got it. Mom sighed. It would take her 10 seconds. Evan turned the organizer around, compared it with the bottles, and moved one tablet. There, he said. He had done it correctly. Dad lifted his coffee and a toast. Nobody died. Your standards are inspiring, I said. Later, when Mom went to help Dad to the bathroom and Marissa stepped outside to finish the grocery call, Evan leaned both hands against the counter. I thought she'd stop telling me what to do once I started doing it, he said. No, she called me at 5:30 because Dad wanted toast. I'm sorry, he didn't want toast. She thought he should eat toast. That sounds right. He rubbed his eyes. How long have you been doing this? Depends what counts. All of it. I looked toward the hallway where Mom was arguing with Dad about whether hopping qualified as walking. A long time. Evan nodded slowly. Then he said, I didn't know it was this loud. It is, I said. Evan looked toward the hallway. I always thought you made it loud. Me? You and Mom arguing about the right way to do everything. I figured if you just let her have her way, it would be quieter. And now? Now I think her way comes with follow-up questions. Many. And revisions. Always. And somehow a phone call from Dad asking where the thing is that she told him not to touch. That's advanced level Denise. He smiled, but it faded quickly. I've been kind of a jerk, he said. Kind of? I'm apologizing. Don't make it unpleasant. That's not how apologies work. He turned the pill organizer in his hands. I'm sorry I asked about the loan after I knew Mom hadn't talked to you. I was panicking about the deposit. I know why you did it. And we'd already lost the first booking fee. Still not mine. I know that now. You knew it then. He set the organizer down. See, this is why I don't apologize to you. Because I don't tell you it's okay before you're finished? Because you turn everything into a deposition. No, I want you to say what you did without immediately explaining why it made sense at the time. I said I was sorry. You said you were panicking. I was. And I was getting an infusion. His shoulders went rigid. There it was again. The instant his regret began to feel like humiliation, he reached for a reason I should share responsibility for it. I'm not trying to punish you, I said. You keep saying that to everybody, because everybody keeps calling consequences punishment. What consequence am I supposed to have? I didn't know Mom lied. You knew before the deadline, and I asked for a loan. You asked me to preserve a gift you now knew wasn't real. He gave a frustrated laugh. Fine. I'm sorry in the exact approved language. I should not have asked you for the money after I found out. No excuses. Can I go back to sorting Dad's pills now? You don't need my permission. Apparently I need a form. I picked up my purse. His expression changed. You're leaving? Yes. Because I didn't apologize, right? Because I came to see Dad and I'm tired. You always do this. Do what? Leave when someone doesn't pass the test. I stared at him. Before I could answer, Mom returned, walking behind Dad as he used the crutches. She held both hands near his waist without touching him, ready to catch a man twice her size. What happened? She asked. Nothing, Evan and I said together. Dad lowered himself into the recliner. Sounds peaceful. Mom looked from my purse to my face. You just got here. I've been here an hour. You could stay for dinner. I have food at home. Evan and Marissa have things to do tonight. Evan said, We're fine. You've been here all day. I work from a laptop, Mom. You need a break. So does Claire, he said. The room went quiet. Mom adjusted Dad's pillow. I'm not asking her to run a marathon, just eat dinner with her family. I'm going home, I said. Dad reached for my hand. Thanks for coming, sweetheart. I squeezed his fingers. At the door, Evan caught up with me. I didn't mean you should leave, he said. I know. I meant what I said. Mostly, that's the problem. He leaned against the frame. You're not easy either, Claire. I know. He seemed disappointed that I did not fight him. I touched his arm. Don't apologize because 2 days with Mom made you tired. Apologize when you understand what you're apologizing for. He folded his arms. That sounds like a test. Then don't take it. I drove home with my own words chasing me. By the time I reached my apartment, I was angry at him, at Mom, and at myself for needing apologies to arrive without fingerprints. Tessa listened while I described the conversation. "You want him to understand," she said. "Yes, that's reasonable. Thank you. It may also be unrealistic. I withdraw my thank you." She stretched out on my couch and rested her feet on the coffee table. "People usually understand in installments. He has been taking care of Dad for 4 days, and now he thinks we're colleagues. Maybe 4 days is his first installment. He told me I'm not easy. You aren't. You're all very supportive. You are exacting, suspicious of help, and more comfortable rescuing someone than letting them see you need rescue. I have cancer. Everybody sees it. That isn't the same thing." I stared at her. She lifted both hands. "I'm done." Beige snack? Dad's injury rearranged the family for the next 3 weeks. Evan took him to the orthopedist. Marissa coordinated groceries. Dad learned to use his patient portal, although he signed every message regards Paul Bennett as though corresponding with a foreign embassy. Mom called me daily with questions I redirected to the instruction sheet, the doctor, or Dad himself. She disliked every answer. When Dad's insurance required an additional authorization for physical therapy, Mom left me a voicemail saying, "I know you've decided not to help with these things, but this is medically necessary." I texted Dad the customer service number. He handled it in one call. His message afterward said, "They were perfectly nice." I replied, "They usually are if you don't begin by yelling." Mom sent me a private question mark. The phone plan deadline approached. I emailed Dad the account number, transfer PIN, and the date service would end. He responded with "received" in capital letters. Mom called 3 minutes later. "Why is this in an email? So you can find it. We're not changing plans while your father is injured. You have until the end of the month. He needs reliable service. The new plan will also contain phones. You're being sarcastic." "Yes." "What if something goes wrong during the transfer? Call the carrier. And if we can't call because the phones don't work, use Dad's laptop chat. You have an answer for everything. I'm trying not to." She hung up. Dad and Evan went to the carrier store together. Dad returned with a plan that cost $12 less than the amount he had been supposed to pay me and included a free tablet he did not need. He sent me a picture of it. "Look what they gave me." "It is not free," I replied. "Check the bill." A minute later, they said it was free. Check the bill. He called Evan. Evan called the store. The tablet was free for 3 months, then $25 a month. They returned it. Nobody called me. When the transfer completed, my monthly bill dropped by $164. I stared at the new amount on the screen. It was not life-changing. It was barely dinner for 4 at Mom's favorite restaurant. Still, seeing only my own name on the account felt like hearing quiet after a machine shut off. My scan was scheduled the following week. Mom knew the date because she had copied my first treatment calendar before I stopped sharing every appointment. The night before, she texted, "What time should I pick you up?" I read the message while brushing my teeth. Tessa was already taking me. She had entered the appointment in her calendar months earlier, along with a note reminding herself not to say, "I'm sure everything will be fine," because certainty made me want to scream. I typed, "I have a ride." Mom answered, "Who?" I considered lying, which was ridiculous. "Tessa." The 3 dots appeared, vanished, then returned. "I'm your mother." "I know. I should be there when you get the results." "Why?" Her answer took 2 minutes. "Because I love you." I sat on the edge of the bathtub. There was no request for money hidden inside that sentence. No birthday dinner, no account password. Just my mother wanting access to the most frightening hour of my life because she loved me. I wanted her there too. That did not erase the breakfast with Evan, the missed infusion, or the way she had used my illness whenever my anger inconvenienced her. Love did not turn those things false, but they did not turn love false either. I called her. She answered cautiously. "Hello? You can come if you want." "If I want?" "I'm not begging you. I didn't ask you to beg. I'm saying, There's room in Tessa's car. A pause. I can drive you myself. I want Tessa there. Of course you do. Mom, I said I would come. The scan showed that the treatment was working. Not finished, not certain, not the end of anything, but working. The remaining tumor had shrunk enough that my oncologist smiled before she spoke. Mom grabbed my hand. Tessa grabbed the other. For a few seconds, I belonged to both of them. In the parking lot afterward, Mom cried against my shoulder. She said she had known. Tessa, to her credit, did not point out that nobody had known. We went to lunch at a diner because Mom insisted good news required pie. She ordered lemon meringue for the table, then complained that the meringue was too tall. It's structurally unsound, she said. Tessa examined it. I think we need a front desk woman who fears nothing. Mom looked confused. I laughed so hard my stomach hurt. For one meal, the three of us managed each other. Mom cut the pie. Tessa changed the subject whenever treatment statistics became too heavy. I told Mom about Dad's tablet almost costing $300 a year. He said it was free, she protested. So did the salesman. Your father is very trusting. He married you, I said. She threw a sugar packet at me. I drove home believing we had turned a corner. That evening, Evan called. Mom told me the scan was good, he said. It was. I'm glad. Thanks. He was quiet for a moment. Then he said, she also told me you wouldn't let her drive you. I invited her to come. With Tessa. Yes. She says you're replacing her. The warmth of lunch disappeared. Did you call to congratulate me or carry a message? I called because Mom's crying. She was happy 3 hours ago. She says you only let her be your mother when Tessa supervises. I closed my eyes. Evan. What? You've been doing this for 3 weeks now. You know better. He did not answer. That was when I heard it. Not agreement, not defense, but the first uncomfortable silence of a man realizing he had picked up something he no longer wanted to carry. What do you want me to do? Evan asked. Stop delivering her feelings to me like they're instructions. I'm not. You called me 6 hours after good scan results to explain that Mom is the real victim. That's not what I said. You led with her crying. Because she called me crying. And now I'm supposed to fix it. No, I just thought you should know. Why? He went quiet again. I could almost hear the machinery turning. For years, Mom had handed him her distress, and he had carried it to me without asking why it belonged there. Usually, I took it. I called her, apologized, changed the plan, or found the money. Evan got to be helpful without having to solve anything. I don't know, he said finally. Ask her what she wants. She wants you to stop shutting her out. I invited her to my appointment. She thinks you only did it because she asked. She did ask. You know what I mean. I know what she means. I don't agree. He sighed. She says Tessa hates her. Tessa brought her pie. Mom thinks that was performative. It was pie, Evan. I'm only telling you. Stop only telling me. The words came out louder than I intended. He was silent. Then he said, Okay. Okay, what? I'll stop. I waited for the explanation, the condition, the reminder that I was difficult. None came. I'm glad the scan was good, he said. Thank you. I mean it. I know. After we hung up, I stood alone in my kitchen and looked at the lemon pie Mom had insisted I take home. She had wrapped the diner plate in 3 layers of plastic and written Claire on top with a marker from her purse, as though I might confuse it with another towering meringue in my refrigerator. Love and resentment sat on the same shelf. Neither canceled the other. Evan called Mom back. I knew because she called me 12 minutes later. What did you say to your brother? About what? He just told me he won't be placed in the middle. Good. Good. Yes. You turn him against me and think that's good? I didn't turn him against you. He said I should speak to you directly if I have something to say. That sounds reasonable. I have been trying to speak to you directly. You either hang up, tell me I'm wrong, or run everything by Tessa. I don't run anything by Tessa. Then how does she always know what to say? Because she listens. The line went so quiet that I wished I had chosen different words. Mom spoke carefully. I have listened to you for 39 years. You listen until I say something that scares you. Then you explain why I don't mean it. That is not fair. When I said no to the vacation, you said treatment made me emotional. When I said I couldn't manage your bills, you said I was punishing you. When I asked you to leave my apartment, you said I was cold. You keep translating me into someone you don't have to hear. I came to your scan. Yes. I sat beside that woman because you insisted. Her name is Tessa. I know her name. You came, Mom. We got good news. We had pie. Why couldn't that be enough? Because I spent the entire appointment feeling like a guest in my daughter's illness. My anger faltered. She had said it plainly, without tears or accusation. Not that Tessa had replaced her, not that I had humiliated her. She had felt like a guest. I didn't want you to feel that way, I said. Well, I did. I needed Tessa there. You keep saying that. Because it's true, and you didn't need me. I looked at the plastic-wrapped pie. I wanted you there. That's not the same thing. No, I said. It isn't. She waited. I understood what she wanted. She wanted needed because needed was safe. Wanted could change its mind. Wanted could invite two people. Wanted did not guarantee the chair. I'm not going to lie to make you feel secure, I said. Her breath caught. That was cruel, I added. I'm sorry. Don't apologize if you mean it. I mean that I won't choose between you and Tessa. You already did. No, I made room for both of you. You don't understand. I think I do. She ended the call. For several days, Mom spoke to me only through the family group, where her messages became bright and general. Hope everyone has a beautiful Monday. Your father slept 6 hours. Wonderful news about Claire's scan. It was like being estranged from a greeting card. Dad's boot came off 2 weeks later. He still limped and complained that the physical therapist enjoyed hurting him. He came to my apartment carrying the blue folder, and for one alarming moment I thought he intended to return it. Instead, he opened it on the table. I added tabs, he said. There were colored dividers labeled house, health, phone, and things Denise will forget. You know she'll find that. She doesn't open folders. He showed me a spreadsheet he had made for recurring payments. The columns were crooked, and he had entered the water bill twice. That one's duplicated, I said. He leaned closer. So it is. You paid it twice? No, I haven't paid it yet. Then how is it recurring? I'm building the system before the water recurs. I laughed. That's not how water works. He corrected the entry while I made coffee. I owe you an apology, he said. I nearly dropped the spoon. He kept looking at the spreadsheet. I should not have said we fed you for 18 years. No, you shouldn't have. That's the minimum requirement. Yes, I was defensive. Yes. He glanced up. Are you going to make me list every offense? Only if you apologize like Evan. What does that mean? Nothing. Continue. Dad folded his hands over the folder. I've been letting your mother ask you for things I knew she shouldn't ask. I sat across from him. She asks, he continued. You get angry and I tell you privately that I understand. Then I tell her publicly that you're upset and will come around. That's accurate. It kept the peace. For who? Me, mostly. His honesty left no obvious place for my anger. I'm sorry, he said. I taught you that being reasonable meant giving in. My eyes filled. Dad reached across the table, but he did not tell me not to cry. His rough fingers closed around mine. I like fixin' things, he said. Makes me feel useful. I know. You got that from me. I know. Your mother likes being needed too. I know. She won't admit it. I know. He squeezed my hand. You say that a lot. I know. He smiled, then looked serious again. She's scared. Not of Tessa. Not really. Of what? That you'll find out you can live without us. I thought about the infusion chair, Mom's travel pillow hanging from a grocery bag. I already knew I could. That isn't the same as wanting to. No. He nodded slowly. Maybe tell her that. I have. Tell her again. That sounds like coming around. It might be. Coming around isn't always surrender. I did not promise anything. Evan came over that Saturday. This time, he brought nothing. No peace offering? I asked. I considered ziti, but apparently food creates ambiguity. Come in. He sat at the kitchen table. I poured coffee and waited. Mom isn't speaking to me, he said. She's sending group messages. She reacts to mine with hearts. That's practically disinheritance. He smiled weakly. I told her I wasn't going to call you every time she was upset. Thank you. She said you put me up to it. I figured. I told her you didn't. Did she believe you? No. We drank coffee. Then he placed both palms flat on the table. I liked being protected, he said. I complained about being treated like I couldn't handle anything, but I liked knowing someone would handle it. I stayed quiet. When you said no, I wasn't only mad about the money. I was mad because the system worked for me right up until it didn't. The words were careful but not rehearsed. He did not say panicking. He did not say deposit deadline. He did not mention Mom. I'm sorry, he said. I should never have asked you to pay after I knew, and I shouldn't have acted like your treatment made your answer less real. I looked down at my coffee. I also shouldn't have sent that message saying I hoped everyone was happy. That was childish. You were angry. That doesn't make it your fault. My throat tightened. Thank you, I said. He nodded. After a minute, he added, You do talk to me like I'm an idiot sometimes. There was my brother. I do, I admitted. And you don't ask for help until you've already decided nobody will give it. I do that too. You're also extremely smug about spreadsheets. That's not an offense. That's earned confidence. He laughed. I'm sorry, I said, for making competence feel like a weapon. Mom compared you to me, and sometimes I helped her do it. You were usually right. I was still unbearable. True. He reached across the table and stole the last sugar packet. Marissa and I opened a separate account for Hawaii, he said. We're putting in what we can every paycheck. When are you going? When we can pay for it. The sentence was simple. No performance, no lesson attached. I hope you go, I said. So do I. My final infusion was scheduled for Thursday. I told Dad and Evan in the group chat. Dad sent 6 exclamation points. Evan sent a GIF of fireworks that looked vaguely unsafe. Mom reacted with a heart. Nothing else. I waited until Wednesday evening, then called her. She answered after 4 rings. Hello? My last infusion is tomorrow at 9. I know, I want you to come. A pause. Will Tessa be there? Yes. Then you don't need me. I closed my eyes. Need isn't the same as invitation, I said. You taught me that. I want you there anyway. The line stayed quiet so long I checked whether the call had dropped. Finally, Mom said, What should I bring? Your travel pillow. She laughed once, and it broke in the middle. I still have it packed, she said. Mom arrived at my apartment at 7:20 wearing a navy blouse, jeans, and the expression of someone reporting for jury duty. The gray travel pillow was looped around her neck. You're early, I said. You said 9. It takes 30 minutes to get there. I accounted for traffic. There is no traffic. There could be. She stepped inside and held up the insulated tote. I brought tea, crackers, ginger candies, a blanket, and those windmill cookies. Did you ask Tessa? No. The answer came too quickly. I looked inside. Everything had been packed in labeled plastic bags. Medication, snacks, warm items, distraction. Under the paperback mystery featuring Detective Claire was a deck of cards and a folded sheet of crossword puzzles. You laminated the crossword, I said. In case you spill, can't use a pencil on lamination. She stared into the tote. I have a marker, she said. I smiled. Then you thought of everything. Her eyes flicked to mine, uncertain whether I was teasing. Before she could decide, Tessa knocked once and walked in. Good morning, she said. Mom straightened. Hello. Tessa was wearing a t-shirt that said, Keep going beneath a cartoon turtle. She had brought the plastic basin, my medication list, and a travel mug of coffee. For a few seconds, the three of us stood in my living room surrounded by competing preparedness. "Nice pillow?" Tessa said. Mom touched it defensively. "Hospital chairs are terrible for your spine. They're terrible for everything." The agreement surprised them both. Tessa handed me the car keys. "You want front or back?" "Front." Mom looked at the keys. "You're driving?" "Claire gets carsick after treatment." "I know that." Tessa's expression remained pleasant. "Then we're aligned." I considered getting into the back seat and letting them fight over the dashboard, but it was my final infusion. I took the front. Mom sat behind me with the insulated tote on her lap. Every few minutes I saw her hands adjust its handles in the mirror. Tessa talked about road construction, the weather, and a radio host who had pronounced charcuterie as charcuter. Mom corrected the pronunciation before realizing that was the point. By the time we reached the hospital, they had managed one shared laugh. Rochelle saw us enter and raised both hands. "Last one." "Last scheduled one," I corrected. She pointed at me. "You're allowed to enjoy a sentence before adding a footnote." Mom touched my back. She was born with footnotes. I believe it. My usual chair was available beside the dusty fake orchid. Mom set up the travel pillow in the seat on my right. Tessa took the left without discussion. Rochelle accessed my port and went through the questions: neuropathy, nausea, fatigue, mouth sores, fever. I answered while Mom listened with her hands folded around the thermos. "You never told me about the tingling," she said. "It's manageable." I should know. Rochelle looked between us, then returned to the monitor with the survival instincts of a seasoned professional. Tessa pulled the medication list from her bag. "It's on here." Mom took the paper and read it. Her lips tightened. "I didn't mean you hid it," she said. "I didn't think you did. You sounded defensive. I have a needle in my chest." "Fair," Tessa said. Mom glanced at her. Then, unexpectedly, she laughed. "You really don't let her get away with much, do you? I let her get away with plenty, just not dehydration. She never drinks enough water." "I drink water." Both women looked at me. "Apparently this is why you needed two people," I said. The pre-medication made me sleepy. Tessa opened the windmill cookies. Mom tucked the yellow sun blanket over my legs, the one she had left in my apartment after the deposit fight. Her hands lingered at my ankles, smoothing the fleece. Nobody mentioned Hawaii. Nobody mentioned the phone plan, the blue folder, the birthday dinner, or Aunt Linda's theory that competence was a form of respect. Mom did not deliver an apology prepared for a captive audience. She did not ask whether we were all right now. She sat. That should not have felt extraordinary. Halfway through the infusion, Tessa left to get coffee. Mom watched her walk away, then looked at the items arranged on my tray. "She knows which crackers you like," she said. "So do you. She knew you needed the nausea medication before you asked. You know that, too." Mom picked up the crossword marker and turned it between her fingers. I thought she was taking something from me. I waited. "I know how that sounds. How does it sound? Like I made your illness about myself." The pump clicked softly. "I think you were scared," I said. "I was terrified." "So was I." "I know." "No, Mom, I don't think you did." Her fingers stopped moving. "When I was diagnosed, you kept saying we would fight it. We would get through it. We would be strong. You gave me jobs inside my own cancer. What was I supposed to say? I don't know. Maybe that you were scared too. I couldn't fall apart. Why? Because you needed me." I looked at her. She understood before I said anything. Her mouth trembled. "If you needed me, I knew who I was," she said. The honesty in it stole my anger. She looked down at the marker. Then Tessa showed up already knowing what you needed, and I felt like I had missed an exam everyone else knew about. She asked. I asked things. You asked whether I took my medication, whether I ate, whether I needed groceries. Those are questions. They're questions with correct answers. Mom's eyes narrowed slightly, not in anger, but concentration. What did Tessa ask? What tasted bad? whether I wanted to talk, whether I wanted her to stay. And you answered, sometimes. That must have driven her crazy. It does. Tessa returned carrying 3 coffees. What drives me crazy? Claire, Mom, and I said together. She handed Mom a cup. Finally, common ground. The red medication entered the line slowly. I watched Rochelle's gloved hands and remembered the first day, Mom's message glowing against my blanket. It had seemed then that refusing the money was a single decision. I had not understood that no had roots. Pull one demand out of the ground, and it dragged years of other things into the light. Mom reached for my hand. This time, I let her. When the final bag emptied, Rochelle disconnected the line and removed the tape from my chest. A volunteer appeared with a small bell mounted on a wooden plaque. "You want to ring it?" she asked. I had heard other people ring that bell. Sometimes the whole room applauded. Sometimes no one looked up because their own medication was still dripping. I shook my head. Mom looked surprised. "You don't want to?" "Not today." "Why? I don't feel finished." She opened her mouth, then closed it. Tessa nodded. Then no bell. The volunteer smiled and moved on without disappointment. Mom squeezed my hand. No bell. In the parking lot, Dad and Evan were waiting beside Dad's truck. Dad held a poster that said, "Last one," Claire Bear in crooked blue letters. Evan had added an asterisk beneath it. Scheduled, footnote approved. I started crying before I reached them. Dad hugged me first. His ankle was still stiff, and he leaned awkwardly to keep his weight balanced. Evan wrapped both of us in his arms. Mom stood beside Tessa, one hand over her mouth. "You didn't ring the bell?" Dad asked. "Who told you?" your mother texted. "She moves fast. I brought this." He held up a brass handbell from Mom's kitchen, the one she used at Thanksgiving as a joke when people ignored her call to dinner. "You can ring it whenever you decide." Mom stared at him. "I've been looking for that. I borrowed it." "You stole my bell. It's for cancer. That doesn't make it less stolen." I took the bell. It was heavier than it looked, cool and solid in my palm. "Thank you," I said. We went to the diner for pie. Dad ordered apple because lemon meringue was architecturally irresponsible. Evan paid for everyone before I could reach for my wallet. When I protested, he said, "I can afford pie." Marissa joined us from work and slid into the booth beside him. She kissed my cheek, then asked how I felt without telling me how I looked. The meal was noisy, imperfect, and almost easy. Mom did not mention that Tessa sat beside me. Dad spilled coffee on his appointment calendar. Evan admitted he and Marissa had saved $900 for Hawaii, then immediately clarified that this was not an announcement or a fundraising opportunity. Tessa raised her mug. "To financially sustainable pineapples." We toasted. At my apartment, everyone left except Mom. She stayed while I changed into pajamas, took my medication, and settled beneath the yellow blanket. She washed the diner coffee from my travel mug and wiped a counter that was already clean. "Mom, I'm leaving." "I didn't say you had to." She dried her hands and came to the bedroom door. "I owe you an apology," she said. I waited. "I should not have promised your money to Evan." The sentence stood alone. She clasped her hands in front of her. "I thought you would say yes because you always had before. I told myself that meant you wanted to. When you said no, I was embarrassed, and I made your no into something treatment did to you." My eyes burned. "I missed your infusion," she continued. "Then I asked you to make me feel better about missing it. Yes." She flinched, but she did not defend herself. "I'm sorry, thank you. I don't know how to fix all of it. You can't fix it all tonight." I hate that answer. "I know." She crossed the room and sat on the edge of my bed. "Are you still angry?" "Yes." Her eyes filled. "I still love you," I said. She looked down. "Those things shouldn't exist together." "They do. I don't like it. Neither do I." She smoothed the blanket over my knees. "What happens now? I recover. I mean with us. We do things differently." "What things?" "Ask me instead of assuming. Believe me when I answer. Don't use Evan or Dad to carry messages. And Tessa, what about her? Is she always going to be there? I hope so. Mom nodded with visible effort. Then she said, "Can I be there too?" "Yes." Her shoulders shook once. I reached for her hand. She stayed until I fell asleep, but she did not move into the living room or turn herself into the night nurse. When I woke at 2, the glass of water beside my bed had been refilled. A note rested beneath it. "Call if you want me. Rest if you don't." For the first time, she had left both choices intact. Recovery did not arrive with the dramatic speed of a television montage. My body remained tired. Food tasted wrong for weeks. My fingers tingled. I returned to work in pieces, first from home, then for half days while Angie threatened to disconnect my computer if I stayed past 5. Dad kept the blue folder. Evan took him to physical therapy even after he could drive himself. Marissa started inviting Mom to lunch without routing the invitation through me. Mom asked before visiting. Sometimes I said no. She would pause too long, say, "All right," in the tone of someone swallowing medicine, and then not come. It was not graceful. It was different. One afternoon, Tessa arrived with 3 printed listings for rental cottages. "What are these?" I asked. "Warm places with ocean access and cancellation policies. I'm not ready to travel." I didn't say tomorrow. She spread the pages across my kitchen table. One cottage had blue shutters and a porch facing the Carolina coast. Another was smaller, set behind dunes with a path to the water. "You have vacation time," she said. "So do you." "I have been saving mine for scenic oncology. That destination is closing." "Exactly." I looked at the prices. My first instinct was to calculate what Mom and Dad still owed, what Evan had lost, what emergency might arrive next. Then I opened my banking app. The money was still there, not Evan's trip, not Mom's piece, not proof that I loved anyone. Mine. I tapped the cottage with the blue shutters. "That one," I said. Tessa leaned across the table. "You have to actually book it. I'm looking." "You've been looking for 20 minutes. I'm reading the cancellation policy. You read it twice." The second time was for tone. "Does it sound sincere?" I looked at the cottage again. Blue shutters, white porch, 2 bedrooms, and a narrow boardwalk over the dunes. It was available for 5 nights in September, 6 weeks after my next oncology follow-up. Close enough to feel possible, far enough away that I could imagine having more energy. "How do you want to split it?" I asked. Tessa sat back. "Look at you. What? Using questions? I use questions. You use instructions with upward inflection. How do you want to split it?" "Half. I want to pay for the rental." "No, it's a thank you." "For what?" "Everything." She pointed at me. "That's how it starts. This is different." "Why?" "Because I'm offering, and I'm saying no." I stared at her. She smiled. "Fun, isn't it? I hate you. Half the rental. I'll drive. We split groceries, and you can buy me 1 irresponsible seafood dinner. 2, 1, with dessert. Fine." We booked the cottage. No music played. The room did not become brighter. My bank sent a fraud alert because apparently spending money on myself was suspicious enough to trigger security. I confirmed the charge. "There," Tessa said. "We're going to the ocean. I might sleep the whole time. Then you'll sleep near the ocean. I may not be able to walk on the beach. Then we'll sit on the porch and criticize people who can. You've thought of everything." "No, I've thought of options." That evening, Mom called and asked whether it was a good time. That question alone still sounded unnatural in her voice, like she was reading from a phrase book. "It's fine," I said. "How are your hands?" "Still tingling, but better." "And the fatigue?" "Still there." She paused. "Do you want me to ask more questions, or do you want to talk about something else?" "Something else." "All right." Another pause. "Your father has labeled the circuit breaker box. That seems ominous. He used abbreviations only he understands. The kitchen is KIT. The living room is LR. The garage refrigerator is apparently cold GAR. That sounds like Dad. He's very proud." I smiled. Tessa and I booked a trip. Mom went quiet. "To where?" "The Carolina coast, 5 nights in September." "Is your doctor comfortable with you traveling? I'll ask at my follow-up." You should make sure the nearest hospital. She stopped. I heard her inhale. Do you want advice? No. All right. She did not sound happy about it, but she moved on. What does the house look like? I sent her the listing. She admired the porch, questioned the bedroom curtains, and said the stairs looked steeper than necessary. Mom, I'm observing, not advising. Very fine line. I'm learning. Before we hung up, she said, send me pictures if you feel like it. Not when you arrive. Not so, I don't worry. If you feel like it. I will, I said. Recovery continued in increments too small to celebrate individually. A whole morning without nausea. Enough energy to go to the grocery store and put everything away afterward. Coffee tasting like coffee. The first time I drove myself to work, Angie met me in the parking lot and pretended she happened to be outside checking the pavement. Dad took over every account in the blue folder. He paid the water bill 2 weeks early because he still did not understand recurring payments. But early was a manageable direction for mistakes. When Mom's pharmacy rejected a refill, he spent 40 minutes on hold and emerged with the medication, a complaint number, and a story he told at dinner as if he had negotiated a hostage release. Mom still slipped. She called one morning and said, "Your father's physical therapy claim was denied, so I need you to." Then she stopped. I waited. "I need you to tell me whether you have time to explain the letter," she finished. "Send me a picture. You don't have to handle it." "I know. I can explain what it means." We spent 10 minutes reviewing the denial. Then she called the insurer herself. That kind of help felt different. It ended. Evan and Marissa created a shared calendar for my parents' appointments. Evan took Dad to physical therapy on Tuesdays. Marissa handled grocery orders twice a month. Mom complained that they bought the wrong brand of paper towels. Neither of them called me to fix it. I had to learn not to fix things nobody had asked me to fix. That was harder than I expected. When Dad mentioned he had forgotten to submit a reimbursement form, I felt the answer leap into my mouth. Email it to me. I swallowed the words. "Do you know what to do?" I asked instead. "I think so." He submitted it 3 days late. The company accepted it anyway. The sky did not fall. Mom invited us to dinner the week before my trip. Her text said, "Would you like to come Sunday? No special reason, lasagna. You do not need to bring anything." Then, 5 minutes later, "That last sentence is not a test." I went. Dad had graduated from his boot, but kept it in the hall closet in case ankles become seasonal. Mom wore the cashmere wrap I had given her, although the air conditioning was struggling against the August heat. Evan and Marissa arrived with wine they had been explicitly told not to bring. "You broke the rules," Mom said. "We're adults," Evan told her. "That remains under review." Dinner felt normal enough that I distrusted it at first. Mom criticized Dad's garlic bread. Dad claimed black edges were rustic. Marissa told a story about a client who wanted a home security slogan containing the phrase, "Surprise the intruder." Evan asked whether that meant with violence or hospitality. After dinner, Mom brought out a grocery store cheesecake. "No occasion?" I asked. "It was on sale." Dad whispered, "It was not." Mom cut 5 slices, then remembered there were 6 of us and made hers thinner without announcing the sacrifice. I noticed because I had been trained to notice. I moved my plate toward her. "Take some of mine." "No, I want this amount." "Are you sure?" "Yes." I believed her. Evan mentioned that he and Marissa had found another hotel in Hawaii. "It isn't as fancy," Marissa said, "but it has a kitchen, so we won't spend $40 every time we want eggs." "Nothing says romance like economical eggs," Dad said. "The deposit is due in November," Mom said. The table went still for half a second. Her eyes flicked toward me, then away. The old version of me would have filled that silence. I would have asked how much, whether they had enough, what the cancellation terms were. I would have made their plan my project before anyone formally invited me. I took a bite of cheesecake. Evan leaned back. "We'll have it by then." "We're at 2,800, Marissa said. "Flights are separate, but we're using points." "That's wonderful," Mom said, a little too brightly. It'll be more wonderful when it's paid for, Evan replied. He looked at me. When do you leave for the coast? Next Saturday. Are you driving? Tessa is. Good. I raised an eyebrow. He held up both hands. Observation, not advice. Mom pointed her fork at him. That's my phrase. Family shares. Not everything, I said. Evan met my eyes. No, not everything. After dinner, Dad started loading the dishwasher. Mom tried to rearrange the plates over his shoulder. Denise, he said, I have a system. You put a bowl on the bottom rack. The bottom rack accepts bowls, not emotionally. Marissa carried leftovers to the refrigerator. Evan wiped the table. I sat with my coffee and did nothing. It felt almost obscene. Mom turned from the dishwasher. Claire, do you want lasagna to take home? No, thank you. Are you sure? Yes. She nodded and did not package it anyway. When I left, she walked me to the door. Have a wonderful trip, she said. I plan to. If you get tired, I'll rest. She smiled. I was going to say, Tessa can drive. No, you weren't. No? We stood beneath the porch light. Do you have enough money? She asked. The question startled me. Yes, I mean for dinners and anything you want to do. Yes, Mom, she looked embarrassed. That sounded like I was checking. A little. I was going to offer. I don't need it. I know. She touched my cheek. I wanted to. There it was again. The difference between need and want moving in both directions. Thank you, I said. She hugged me. In the car, I found a text from Evan. Forgot to say this in there because Mom was hovering. I hope the trip is great. Also, we passed $3,000 in the Hawaii account. I replied, proud of you. He sent back, don't make it weird. The cottage was smaller than the photographs and bluer than any house needed to be. The ocean was not visible from the driveway, which caused Tessa to accuse the listing of emotional fraud. Then we carried our bags inside and opened the back door. The water stretched beyond the dunes, gray-blue beneath a wide September sky. Wind moved through the grass. Somewhere out of sight, waves folded over themselves with a steady sound that seemed to pass through the house. Tessa stood beside me. Okay, she said. I withdraw my complaint. The first afternoon, we walked only to the end of the boardwalk. My legs tired before we reached the sand, so we sat on a bench and watched gulls fight over something unidentifiable. I waited for disappointment. It did not come. I was tired beside the ocean. That was still beside the ocean. We ate takeout on the porch. Tessa chose the most expensive crab dish on the menu because she claimed irresponsible seafood required commitment. I ordered dessert without looking at the price. The next morning, I woke before sunrise. The cottage was quiet. Tessa's bedroom door remained closed. I made tea and wrapped the yellow sun blanket around my shoulders, then stepped onto the porch. My phone showed one message from Mom. Your father couldn't find the hotel password. We found it in the folder. Do not call. Enjoy your trip. A second message followed. Also, the curtains are less terrible in your picture. I laughed into my tea. I sent her a photograph of the ocean, then put my phone face down. The brass bell sat on the porch table. I had found it in my suitcase the night before, wrapped in one of Dad's old shop towels. A note in his blocky handwriting said, "Whenever you decide." I picked it up. At the hospital, ringing it had felt too much like declaring victory over something I did not trust. Here, alone on a blue porch with weak legs and hair growing back in soft, uneven patches, it meant something else. Not finished, not fearless, not even healed. Just mine to ring. I stepped off the porch and followed the boardwalk slowly. At the bench, I rested. At the sand, I took off my shoes. The water was cold around my ankles. Behind me, Tessa came down the boardwalk carrying 2 mugs. She saw the bell in my hand and stopped without calling out. The sun lifted over the horizon, turning the edge of the water gold. I rang once. The sound was smaller than the ocean and clearer than I expected. When it faded, no one asked me for anything. I stood there until the next wave reached me, then turned toward Tessa and held out my hand.